Today I am going to explain Season 2 of The Dangers in My Heart. If you haven't seen Season 1, I will provide a link in the iBut. You can go there and watch Season 1. So Season 2 begins exactly where Season 1 left off. At the start of Season 2, then they enter the classroom and Kobayashi comes up to Ikikawa and says, "So you ended up breaking your arm. Yamada told me about this." Watching this, Adachi feels incredibly jealous of Ikikawa because Ikikawa is getting attention from all the girls. Just then, Kobayashi notices the keychain on Ikikawa's collar and asks about it. Ikikawa explains that he bought it with him when he went on his trip. However, Kobayashi finds it a bit strange and after that they walk away from Ikikawa. Then Yamada comes up to Ikikawa and says, "If you need any help, just let me know." After that, Yamada walks away. Then Hara notices that Ikikawa has the exact same dog keychain as Yamada. A little while later, a teacher comes up to Ikikawa and asks, "Will you be able to do your work with just one hand? My suggestion is that you should ask someone for help like Yamada." Ikikawa replies that he and Yamada don't talk much, he doesn't know her that well and he can do his work by himself. But right after saying this, as soon as he enters the classroom, his eyes fall on Yamada who had overheard everything. Yamada glares at Ikikawa and walks away. Ikikawa says to himself, "Oh man, what did I just do? Our relationship was improving during the winter break, but I ruined everything." A little while later, the teacher writes something on the blackboard and Ikikawa tries to note it down, but he has trouble writing with his left hand, which is why he can't write everything down. So he thinks he will copy it from someone else, but when he looks beside him he sees Yamada. However, Yamada sees him and walks away, making Ikikawa feel a bit awkward. Then he thinks he should borrow Hara's notebook, but that wouldn't be appropriate in the current situation. After a while, Adachi comes over and hands his notes to him. He tells him that Yamada had asked him to give his notes to Ikikawa. He also adds that Yamada praised him, but hearing this, Ikikawa gets very angry and says, "I know for a fact that Yamada didn't praise you at all." Adachi simply says, "Yeah, you are right." Later, when it is time to go home, Ikikawa starts to leave but spots Yamada near the shoe lockers. Seeing him, she starts to walk away. Ikikawa apologizes to her and explains that he only said those things to the teacher because he didn't want to force her to help him, but he admits that he trusts Yamada the most. Hearing this, Yamada becomes very happy. She walks up to him and says, "Yes, I know." After that, they both start walking home together. Yamada says to him, "Here, let me carry your bag." Ikikawa thanks her and hands his bag to her. As they continue walking, Ikikawa tells Yamada, "You shouldn't talk to Adachi too much." Yamada asks him, "Why is that?" But Ikikawa doesn't say anything. From the very next day, Yamada starts helping Ikikawa with everything and a few weeks pass by like this. After that, Ikikawa is shown in the classroom deep in thought. Suddenly, he hears Adachi getting overly excited while looking at a magazine. This was because the magazine was very popular and Yamada was featured in it under her stage name Honor Akino. Adachi says, "I thought she was just a model." From across the room, Ikikawa says, "You didn't even know that much. She doesn't just appear in magazines. She is starting to appear on TV and in movies now too." Everyone turns to stare at Ikikawa. Seeing this, Ikikawa goes quiet and thinks to himself, but it is true that she is starting to appear in popular magazines now. Then Adachi tells his friends if she's appearing in popular magazines now, she will definitely wear a bikini soon. Hearing this, Ikikawa thinks to himself, "Actually, I was wondering about that too." Just then, Yamada walks in, and Adachi immediately shuts his mouth. After school, when Yamada and Ikikawa are walking together, Yamada asks Ikikawa, "By the way, what were you guys talking about back there?" Ikikawa replies, "Just random stuff." Yamada teases, "Oh, so boy talk." Ikikawa says, "Yeah, probably." Then Yamada suggests, "Let's go to the convenience store." When they get there, Yamada picks up a magazine and says, "Wow, this is a really popular magazine." She opens it to show him her photo and jokes, "Oh, who is this?" Ikikawa thinks to himself, "She's never going to change." Then Yamada starts talking to him about her work. She explains that they told her to act natural, but she doesn't think she posed correctly. Then she sighs, "Oh man, I'm probably boring you by talking about my work," and she starts to put the magazine back. Just then Ikikawa grabs her hand and says, "You really looked as good as always," trying to compliment her. Yamada says, "Come on, let me buy this magazine for you." After buying the magazine, they leave. Yamada shows him the photos and asks, "So tell me which one of these looks the best?" Ikikawa replies, "Nothing in particular." Yamada pouts, "Oh, so they all look good." Ikikawa notes, "These are pretty different from regular magazines, aren't they?" Yamada asks him, "Have you seen those magazines?" Ikikawa panics and stammers, "No, my sister bought those magazines, so I just saw them." Yamada says, "Well, if I wear different makeup and clothes, I will definitely look different than before." Ikikawa says, "You really love your work, don't you?" Yamada smiles and says, "Yes." The scene of the next day is shown, where they are in a cooking class and Yamada keeps messing things up. Then Hara asks Ikikawa, "By the way, did you go anywhere during the winter break?" Ikikawa replies, "Yeah, I went to Akita and that's where my arm broke." After that, Hara asks Yamada, "Where did you go during the winter break?" Yamada replies, "I didn't go on any trip, but I hung out with my friends for a bit." Then Yamada asks Hara, "Where did you go?" Hara tells her, "I went to the shrine on New Year's Day with Kenzaki." Yamada teases, "I just asked where you went during the winter break. Why did you mention Kenzaki?" Hara blushes and says, "Oh, you totally trapped me." Hara then explains that when they met up, she noticed Kenzaki had grown out the hair around his ears and it didn't look good on him at all. However, Hara didn't say anything at the time. She tells Yamada, I admit that I should have told him that the hair didn't suit him, but I couldn't bring myself to say it. Yamada thoughtfully replies, I wonder what it's like to think so deeply about the lifestyle and style of someone you like. As she says this, she looks towards Ikikawa. But when Ikikawa looks back at her, Yamada gets shy and quickly adds, well, how can I answer this question? Because I don't have anyone I like right now. Just then a teacher walks in and tells them, you all need to cover your hair properly. Hara and Yamada manage to do it, but Ikikawa struggles to do it with just one hand. So Yamada helps him. But after looking at his face, both of them burst out laughing because Ikikawa looked completely ridiculous. A little while later they finish their cooking. However, whatever they made looks absolutely terrible. Adachi had also made cookies, so he brings them over to share. But just as Yamada is about to eat one, Ikikawa quickly snatches it and eats it himself. He loudly declares, wow, Adachi actually made these really well. However, the look on his face clearly shows that he didn't like it at all. Still, Adachi is happy to hear his praise. Suddenly, Ikikawa's dog keychain falls down. Hara picks it up and hands it back. Yamada takes the keychain and comments, Akita dogs are really cute, aren't they? Hearing this, Hara immediately understands that the matching keychain Yamada has was gifted to her by Ikikawa. Just then Kenzaki walks over and tells Hara, you should try eating some too. But Hara declines, I'm on a diet right now. Kenzaki smiles and says, you look great exactly the way you are. Touched, Hara takes a bite and says, alright, but in return you won't grow out the hair around your ears anymore. The scene then shifts to the library where Ikikawa is reading a book and Yamada is turning the pages for him. Ikikawa realizes that Hara has figured out that he was the one who gifted the keychain to Yamada. He then notices that Yamada has fallen asleep while standing. So they both sit down and Yamada apologizes to him because she couldn't help him properly. Ikikawa says, it's no problem. In his mind he thinks, Yamada has been apologizing way too much lately. I want to tell her that just being near me is more than enough. She doesn't need to worry about me. But I could never actually say that to her. He then pulls out his phone and shows her a photo of his sister taken on her birthday. Yamada teases him for keeping photos of his sister saved on his phone. After that, Ikikawa shows her the photo of the snow that Yamada had asked for. But when Yamada looks at it, Ikikawa explains, I took this photo right as I was slipping and falling, which is why it's blurry. Hearing this, Yamada gets completely shocked. Ikikawa immediately realizes his mistake. He shouldn't have told her that he broke his arm while trying to take a photo of the snow for her. Yamada starts apologizing profusely, blaming herself for his broken arm. Ikikawa reassures her, no, it's not your fault, it's my fault for not paying attention. And besides, it will probably snow again next week anyway. As they leave the library together, Yamada looks up and says, it looks like it's going to snow next week. Ikikawa smiles, that's exactly what I just said. Yamada giggles, yeah, sorry. The scene of the next day is shown. Ikikawa is thinking to himself that Yamada didn't message him yesterday. Maybe his fractured arm is stressing her out too. Just then Moiko and Yamada's friends stop him and explain everything to him. Ikikawa asks, is she acting weird? Moiko replies, yes, because yesterday she barely ate anything. She usually eats a ton, so tell us, do you know why that is? Ikikawa says, I don't know. Kobayashi mutters, but why are we even asking Ikikawa about this? Just then Yamada arrives, says good morning to everyone and sits quietly at her desk. As Yamada takes her things out of her bag, she realizes that her dog keychain is lost. Ikikawa walks over to her and asks, so did you have it with you when you were coming to school? Yamada replies, I don't know, but it must be at home. I'll go look for it later. After that, the teacher comes in and announces that due to the heavy snowfall, school will end early today. Later, when Ikikawa is heading home, he spots Kenzaki and Hara near the shoe lockers searching for something. Hara comes up to Ikikawa and says, Yamada's dog keychain is lost and she is incredibly sad about it. Tying his scarf, Ikikawa says, thank you, I'll handle the rest from here. He immediately heads out into the snow and starts searching for the keychain. Moiko walks up to him and asks, looking for something? Ikikawa replies, no, nothing special. Moiko informs him that Yamada usually doesn't take this route, she takes the other path. So Ikikawa goes there and continues searching for the keychain. Just then Yamada also arrives and sees him. Moiko had messaged Yamada, which is why Yamada came there. Yamada stands in front of Ikikawa and says in a sad voice, I honestly searched the entire house but I couldn't find it anywhere. Ikikawa reassures her that he will find it. Hearing his comforting words, Yamada starts to cry. Ikikawa steps forward to calm her down, but just then his eyes fall on a tree branch where the keychain is hanging. He quickly goes over and retrieves the keychain. Yamada rushes to him and thanks him. Ikikawa says, if you hadn't come here, I never would have found it. Yamada grabs his shoulders and pulls him close to her, but suddenly Ikikawa sneezes. She asks him, are you okay? Ikikawa replies, yeah, I'm fine. Yamada points down the street and says, my house is right over there. Would you like to come to my house and warm up? Ikikawa is a bit surprised to hear this, but he agrees to go with her. After arriving home, Yamada heats up water for Ikikawa and starts drying his head with a towel. But suddenly realizing what she is doing, she says, you can do it yourself. Ikikawa thinks to himself, but I never even asked her to dry my hair. Then Ikikawa goes to the bathroom to take a bath. bath, but his eyes keep wandering around and he starts having some inappropriate thoughts. He quickly tries to calm himself down. Later, Yamada comes outside the bathroom and says, "I will leave some clothes here for you to wear." Hearing her voice, Ikikawa quickly sinks into the bathtub and says, "You don't need to worry about me this much." Yamada puts his clothes into the washing machine and leaves. Ikikawa thinks to himself, "I was touching my lower half while I was talking to her." When he finishes his bath and steps out, he sees that Yamada has left her gym class uniform out for him. But when Ikikawa looks for his underwear, he cannot find it because Yamada had placed it in the living room along with the rest of his clothes. Because of this, Ikikawa is forced to wear the pants without any underwear. When he walks out dressed, Yamada asks him, "By the way, what would you like to eat?" and shows him two different types of hot pot. However, Ikikawa's focus is not on the hot pot but somewhere else. Because of this, his banana starts to react. Just then, Yamada's dog grabs Ikikawa's pants and starts pulling. To save Ikikawa, Yamada grabs his pants as well and tells her dog, "Let it go." The dog lets go. A little while later, when Ikikawa comes out of the washroom, he sees that Yamada has changed her clothes. When he asks Yamada about it, she tells him that Moko had gifted her this outfit and the design of the clothes looked like a bear. After that, Yamada goes to the dining room, sets the hot pot to cook and starts packing around. Ikikawa says to Yamada, "You should sit down." Yamada comes over, sits next to him and tells Ikikawa that whenever her mom isn't home, she makes this so that she feels like an adult. Ikikawa says, "You're not an adult, you're just lonely." Yamada gets a little sad and asks him, "So, could you maybe come over to eat with me sometimes?" Changing the topic, Ikikawa says, "I think you brought something with you." Yamada says, "Oh, you noticed this," and she had brought her photo album with her which had her childhood and school trip photos. Ikikawa says, "You are eating something in every photo." Yamada says, "It seems you are paying a little too much attention to me." To change this topic, Ikikawa looks at the piano kept nearby and asks, "Do you play the piano?" Yamada says, "I used to play when I was little and I have tried a lot of things like this in my childhood and I want to do everything. But I didn't like seeing that new kids would surpass me. That's why whatever I started, I would quit very quickly. And whenever I gave up on trying something, my mom would make my favorite cake for me. Whenever I mess up, she still supports me." Ikikawa says, "Your parents are very good." Yamada continues, "But now I have started feeling scared. Scared about the fact that the other people with me are good at everything, but I am not good at anything." Saying this, tears come to her eyes. She says further, "I am scared of this because I feel like one day I will become a burden on them and they will start hating me." Then wiping her tears, she says, "Look man, I even started crying." Ikikawa says, "I don't know how your parents feel, but if they considered you a burden, they would have gotten rid of you a long time ago. I am completely hopeful that they will always be loyal to you." Then Yamada says to Ikikawa, "Can I ask you a question that has been on my mind for many days? It's about when you didn't come to the library for several days, and when I asked you what happened to you, you just said you were busy. I know that what you were saying at that time was meant for me and you think a lot about me. That's why I get scared that I might lose you." Then wiping her tears, she says, "Forgive me. It seems I am getting a little too emotional." Just then, Ikikawa hugs her. Because of this, Yamada cannot control her emotions and starts crying bitterly. Ikikawa says, "Forgive me, I lied to you because I didn't want to hurt you. That's why I distanced myself from you." And he says in his mind, "The truth is that I didn't want to be hated." And after that, when Ikikawa steps back, Yamada's runny nose comes out, which Ikikawa cleans. A little while later, they both start eating the hot pot and Yamada says to Ikikawa, "You know, I always stay calm, but I don't know why nowadays I have started thinking too much about everything, and it could be that this is all because I..." But Ikikawa cuts her off and says, "Because you have grown up. To tell you the truth, growing up messes with the mind quite a lot." Yamada says, "Yes, maybe that could be it too." Then Ikikawa explains to her that she doesn't need to take so much tension because her parents love her. That is why they will never stop her from trying new things. Hearing this, Yamada's mood gets better. But when she checks her phone, she sees her mom has sent her several messages and Yamada's mom is coming home. That is why she had messaged. Hearing this, Ikikawa panics a little. But Yamada says to him, "Don't worry, I have brought my friends home many times." Ikikawa says, "Yes, but I am a boy and look at me, what kind of clothes I am in. I mean, if I go in front of her, I should keep my clothes on right." So Yamada says to him, "Okay, come back wearing nice clothes sometime." And she takes Ikikawa into her room. Just then her mom arrives and seeing Ikikawa's shoes there, she asks, "Did a friend of yours come over?" Yamada lays that yes, Kobayashi has come. After that, her mom praises her clothes a lot and says, "I also have one just like this. I should wear it too." Yamada says, "First you should take a bath and get warm." After that, she comes to her room and says to Ikikawa, "Maybe my dad is also about to come." So Ikikawa starts imagining her dad, what he would look like. Just then Yamada's mom comes there. So Ikikawa quickly quickly covers himself with the blanket on Yamada's bed and hides. Yamada's mom asks what happened to her. Yamada tells her that Kobayashi was a little tired, so she came here to rest. And Ikikawa also makes his voice sound like a girl and says, "I'm not feeling very well." Yamada's mom says, "Okay, rest," and saying this, she leaves from there. Then Ikikawa says sorry to Yamada because Yamada had to lie because of him. Just then, Yamada sees that near the window of her bedroom, the empty milk tea bottle that Ikikawa had given her is kept. Therefore, she quickly climbs on top of Ikikawa so that Ikikawa's eyes do not go to that bottle. Then she comes close to him and says, "This is revenge for last time," and she says to Ikikawa, "This is not your fault. I lied to my mom because I wanted to, and now I have grown up, so this much is okay," Ikikawa says, an adult who still uses her own name while talking to her mom. Hearing this, Yamada gets a little embarrassed and says, "Yes, okay, keep your mouth shut." After that, Ikikawa starts leaving from there. But when the elevator door opens, a very giant man was standing there who sees the name Yamada written on Ikikawa's shirt. But Ikikawa was very scared seeing that guy. Therefore, he quickly runs away from there. After that, when he reaches home, he's going to the bathroom to wash Yamada's shirt. But when he opens the bathroom door, he sees Kana taking her clothes off there because she was going to take a bath. Seeing him, Kana starts calling him a pervert. After that, the school scene is shown, where Yamada smells her clothes and smells Ikikawa's clothes and says, "Well, I don't feel much difference." Seeing Yamada so close to him, Ikikawa remembers that when he was washing Yamada's shirt and looking at it, he was thinking that Yamada's detergent and his detergent are different. After that, when he was keeping it in the bag to give it to her, the manga character comes and says, "After whatever happened at Yamada's house, I think you have a chance." But Ikikawa says, "I know that I am nothing more than a normal friend to Yamada." The manga character says, "But I don't think so." The next day, Ikikawa is going to school and he notices his voice, which was now starting to become a little deep. Then when he reaches school, Kobayashi says, "Oh, Ikikawa, the plaster on your arm has been removed," but saying this, she leaves from there. Then Yamada also asks him, "Is your arm okay?" Ikikawa says, "Yes, my arm is fine, but it is thinner than the other arm." But at this time, Ikikawa was speaking very softly, which is why Yamada feels something is wrong, but Ikikawa leaves from there. Then when he is in the classroom, Yamada messages him, "You don't need to talk much in school, but you can at least make eye contact." Ikikawa says in his mind, "It's not that I don't want to talk," and he looks towards Yamada, who smiles looking at him. After that, it is gym class time and they come to the gym class to practice, and Yamada notices that a very bad smell is coming from her gym uniform. Hara also smiles and looks, and she is also getting a very bad smell. Ikikawa says in his mind, "I would give mine, but it would look weird." Just then his teacher catches Ikikawa and says, "Look, you have to do it this way," but he lifts Ikikawa and slams him down. After that, Ikikawa gets up and sees Yamada is not pairing up with anyone. Therefore, he asks her to pair up with him. But Yamada says, "My clothes are smelling bad." But Ikikawa grabs her and pins her against the wall and says, "And that is why you don't want to pair up with anyone else." Hearing his words, Yamada slams him on the ground and says, "This is payback," and leaves from there. Kenzaki comes from behind and says, "Man, Ikikawa, you and Yamada are really getting along nowadays." Ikikawa says, "It's not that, it's just her smell." Hearing this, Kenzaki shakes hands with him and says, "Honestly, smelling girls are the best," but Ikikawa was not saying this. After that, their gym class gets over and Ikikawa was saying in his mind, "It seems I am becoming an adult, but I don't like this because after this, I don't think I will be able to remain a friend with Yamada for many more days." And saying this, he comes outside where Yamada calls his name. A little while later, they go to the library where Ikikawa tells her that his voice is deep, and because of this he is not able to speak and he does not have a cold. His voice is just changing. Yamada understands that Ikikawa is growing up and holding his hand she says, "This means your arm hasn't gotten thinner, but this arm has gotten bigger." And saying this, she comes very close to him, because of which Ikikawa is blushing. Yamada comes close to him and says, "When your voice changes, it is okay to take my name many times." But then she notices that she has come a little too close to him. Therefore, she quickly feels shy and starts looking the other way. Then Moko is shown saying, "There is only 1 week left until Valentine's Day. So tell me, what should we do?" Hearing this, Yamada also gets excited and says, "Yes, I have a plan. Now we should talk nicely to the younger girls and wander around their classes." Moko laughs and says, "Well, that's a good way to get chocolates." After saying this, everyone starts laughing together. Then Moko says, "We should make something that we can distribute among the boys." Yamada likes this plan and tells everyone, "Okay, then we will do it at my house," and she says this to Ikikawa as well. Ikikawa says in his mind, "Wait, am I a part of this?" After that, on the weekend, Ikikawa arrives downstairs at Yamada's house. There he sees Kobayashi and her friend. Kobayashi asks him, "By the way, what are you doing here?" Ikikawa says, "I was just passing by," and he starts to leave from there also thinking, "I don't think Yamada asked me to come here." But just then he meets Moko on the way, who drags him to Yamada's house. When they reach Yamada's house with the others, Yamada opens the door and comes out eating chocolates. Moko says, "Hey, why are you eating our ingredients?" She replies, "Oh, I'm not doing that." When everyone goes inside, Yamada's mom looks at Ikikawa and says, "Oh, it's a boy." Hearing this, Ikikawa couldn't understand how he should react and how he should introduce himself to Yamada's mom. Just then Moko says, "He is my boyfriend." Hearing this, Kobayashi asks, "Hey, since when has this been going on between you two?" After that, they come inside and start preparing to make chocolates. Ikikawa says in his mind, "How did I end up getting stuck here? He was trying to put on an apron." Yamada says, "Here, let me help you." Yamada's mom starts staring at them. Yamada quickly moves away from Ikikawa and Moko comes over to help him put on the apron. After that, they start making chocolates. But seeing all this, Yamada was very sad. Then Yamada's mom says, "Come, let me help you." But Yamada tells her mom, "We can do all this," and she takes her mom and starts to leave. The rest of them are busy preparing the chocolates. Just then Kobayashi says, "Everyone else is becoming an adult and Yamada and I are still just kids. I still remember when I first met Yamada in our first year. She looked exactly like a colossal titan to me. But slowly we became friends and that's the reason why I am her favorite person." But no one reacts to her words. Ikikawa says in his mind, "Does Yamada like me?" But he brushes that thought out of his head and says, "She invited me here. It doesn't mean she thinks about me that way." On the other hand, Yamada makes her mom sit on a nearby sofa, and meanwhile Moko was clinging a bit too much to Ikikawa. Seeing this, Yamada was feeling bad and Yamada's other friend also notices this. That's why she slams her hand on the table and shouts loudly, "This is not right at all." Kobayashi thinks that the ingredients aren't right, so she takes the bowl from her hand and starts making the chocolate. A little while later, while washing the dishes, Ikikawa was thinking to himself, "I feel like I shouldn't have come here at all." Just then, Yamada comes up to him and says, "Having fun, aren't you?" Seeing the look on her face, Ikikawa gets scared and makes an excuse to go to the bathroom and leaves. While sitting in the bathroom, he was wondering how he ended up getting caught up in all this. Then his imaginary manga character appears and says, "If you don't tell Yamada's mom the truth about yourself right now, later it will look like you betrayed Moko and married Yamada." Ikikawa says, "But that could never happen. I don't want to get my hopes up because if my hopes are shattered, I will be the one hurt the most." The character says, "Maybe that could happen. But if you don't act fast, your chance might slip out of your hands." And saying this, he disappears. Then Ikikawa starts to leave Yamada's house. Yamada's mom asks him about it and Ikikawa says, "Yes, I am leaving." On his way out, he gathers his courage and tells Yamada's mom that he's not Moko's boyfriend. He explains that she had lied, apologizes, and steps outside, saying in his mind, "I really want my hopes to come true." But Yamada's mom opens the gate and sees Ikikawa still standing right there, making the scene a bit awkward. Yamada's mom asks Ikikawa, "Is your name Ikikawa?" He replies, "Yes." Hearing this, Yamada's mom speaks to Ikikawa in a much more polite manner and says, "I knew it. I met your mom at the parent-teacher meeting. Yamada told me that you two are always together, and just a little while ago she even told me that." But before she can say anything further, Yamada interrupts, "Mom, come back inside." Her mom goes back in. After that, Ikikawa starts to walk away, but Yamada stops him and says, "Please don't go." Ikikawa agrees to stay. Yamada is happy to hear this. Ikikawa then tells her, "I didn't want to make you lie again, that's why I decided to tell the truth this time." But after saying this, when he goes inside with Yamada, he sees Yamada's dad, who looks extremely intimidating. Ikikawa looks completely tiny in front of him. Yamada's dad glares at him and goes inside. After he leaves, Yamada's three friends nervously say, "Oh, so that was Yamada's dad. He looked like a giant to me." Hearing the word giant, Ikikawa remembers that the person he saw outside the elevator the first time he came to Yamada's house was probably him. Then when he looks towards Yamada's dad's room, he gets scared because Yamada's dad is glaring at him from inside. This terrifies him. Yamada asks him, "What happened?" Ikikawa is about to tell her, but just then Yamada's dad walks in and seeing him, they quickly distance themselves from each other. He then walks up to Ikikawa and asks, "Do you play games?" Ikikawa is confused as to why he is asking this, but he replies, "Yes, I play a little bit," and then he goes inside to play a game with Yamada's dad, but he couldn't understand what was going on either. Yamada's dad says, "You pick your character first," and saying this, he gets a little too close to Ikikawa. Yamada's mom stops him and tells Ikikawa, "Sorry, but he has absolutely no concept of personal space." Yamada's dad says, "That's because no one plays games here." Yamada pops up from behind and says, "I play, don't I?" And she starts playing the game using Ikikawa's controller. Just then Moko walks in and is a bit shocked to see this. Seeing Moko, Yamada and her mom leave the room. Moko teases Ikikawa saying, "Do you have some kind of superpower to blend in with people?" Ikikawa says, "No, it's just because he's a gamer." Right then Yamada's dad pushes his hair back and seeing his face, Moko instantly swoons over him. A little while later, their chocolates are ready. They first go to let Yamada's dad taste them because he had helped them. Meanwhile, Yamada pulls Ikikawa onto the balcony, hands him a chocolate and says, "This is for you, I just want you to taste it." Ikikawa takes it, eats a piece and says, "This is maybe too sweet, I mean that's just my personal opinion." Yamada takes the rest of the chocolate from his hand, eats it in one bite and says, "I'm really so happy that you came here." Ikikawa starts blushing. After that, Moko and her friend are walking back with Ikikawa. Moko's friend asks Ikikawa, "You've been to Yamada's house before, haven't you? Because I noticed you already knew which floor button to press in the elevator. You even knew exactly where the washroom was in her house." Moko adds, "So even before us, I mean you two have been meeting secretly all along." Ikikawa explains, words, I only went there because it was really cold that day. Moko says, but you've been there before, right? Then Moko turns to her friend and says, that means you already knew Ikikawa and Yamada were together. That's why you shouted so loudly back then. Her friend replies, yes, I knew, and I also knew that you were trying to help Ikikawa at first, but then you just started messing with him. Moko tries to change the subject. After a while, Ikikawa stops and thanks them for today. They reply, no problem. But then he continues walking beside them and says, but I still have to go this way, so they start making fun of him. After Ikikawa gets home, Kana is extremely surprised to hear that he went to Yamada's house to make chocolates and that he was making them along with all her friends. Kana says, oh man, you've already started building your own harem. Ikikawa snaps, shut your nonsense. Just then he gets a call from Yamada. He goes to his room to answer it. After answering, he asks Yamada, what happened? Yamada says, I was just wondering how you felt meeting my parents here today. Ikikawa replies, yeah, I was a little scared at first, but as I started blending in with them, I started feeling comfortable there. Yamada happily says, you know, my mom and dad said the exact same thing. Then we're shown a flashback where Yamada is asking her dad about Ikikawa. Her dad says, oh that boy, I forgot to ask him for his friend request ID. I hope he comes over next time. Hearing this makes Yamada happy. She then asks her mom the same question. Her mom happily replies, he was exactly as I expected. Back in the present, Yamada says, by the way, I don't know why, but my dad was calling you Yamada for some reason. Ikikawa suddenly remembers why her dad was calling him Yamada, because that day he was wearing Yamada's shirt which had her name written on it. Yamada says, alright, come over to our house again sometime, and wishes him good night. Ikikawa also says good night and ends the call. When he comes out, his sister is eating some snacks and she offers him snacks and a cold drink. Ikikawa sits there and starts drinking the cold drink. Suddenly, Kana asks him from behind, so you love Yamada, don't you? Hearing this, Ikikawa spits his drink out of his mouth. Kana apologizes to him and says, I just figured you loved her. Ikikawa says, but I don't have any confidence at all, and I don't know how she feels or what my chances are. His sister tells him, you don't need to overthink it so much. If not Yamada, then someone else. Do you even know how many girls there are in the world? But hearing this, Ikikawa loudly says, that will never happen. My feelings for Yamada will never change, and there is no one who can take her place. But Yamada and I live in completely different worlds. If tomorrow she suddenly has to move far away, maybe she'll go there and eventually forget me. And saying this, he buries his face in a nearby cushion and adds, but I don't want that. His sister comforts him, saying, you don't need to overthink it so much, just do what your heart tells you. Ikikawa blurts out, I want to become Yamada's boyfriend. But as he realizes what he said, he blushes even more. His sister teases him, saying, oh my, you got drunk just from drinking a cold drink. Ikikawa yells at her to stop doing that. The scene of the next day is shown where Ikikawa is going to school with Yamada. But Yamada says, I couldn't figure out yesterday what kind of chocolate to give the boys. That's why I haven't made anything yet. Ikikawa grabs Yamada's hand and says, then just leave it be. Hearing this, Yamada is a little surprised and smiling, she says, okay. Now Valentine's Day arrives and Yamada was wandering in the school corridor. Just then 2 girls see her and say that this is good timing and they give Yamada chocolates. After taking them, Yamada says thank you and the girls become happy. After that, when she goes ahead, Kobayashi tells her to stop it because Yamada had already made 5 rounds. Meanwhile, Ikikawa was thinking that this day is just like any other day. Then when he comes near the classroom, Adachi was shouting that the time has come to stop giving and receiving chocolates because it gives boys wrong expectations. But when Moko puts chocolates on the desk to distribute to everyone, Adachi is the first one to go and pick up a chocolate. And similarly, the rest of the boys also come and pick up chocolates. Moko gives one of those chocolates to Ikikawa too, but just as Ikikawa is about to eat that chocolate, Yamada comes in between and eats it. Kobayashi asks her, what are you doing? Yamada says, just consider me a boy for today. Kobayashi says, you really are a glut. After that, Adachi shows his chocolate to Ikikawa and says, look, this has a heart-shaped pistachio. This must definitely be a secret sign. Ikikawa says, I don't think so. And on the other hand, Moko was saying to herself, I feel like I shouldn't have given it to him at all. A little while later, the scene shifts to the library. Ikikawa and Yamada are in the library. Yamada places all her chocolates on the table and says, come on Ikikawa, let's play shogi. Ikikawa says, but I don't know how to play. Yamada says, we are going to play shogi using these chocolates. Ikikawa says, but I don't know how to play that either. After that, they both sit down and start playing shogi with the chocolates, in which Yamada accepts her defeat and gives all the chocolates to Ikikawa. This was because the rule was that the winner gets all the chocolates. But after getting the chocolates, Ikikawa couldn't believe that Yamada had given him all her chocolates. And then when they returned to the classroom, Adachi was still showing off his chocolate. Seeing this, Moko says, I don't know who should explain this to him, but if I were to give him a chocolate in that way, I would also tell him how I feel. Hearing her words, Yamada falls into deep thought. Then after school, Ikikawa is walking home and simultaneously thinking that he shouldn't keep wrong expectations because of chocolates. Just then Yamada arrives, grabs him, and takes him to a corner. From there, they see that Hara and Kenzaki are meeting alone next to the school building, and Hara is giving Kenzaki a chocolate. Seeing this, Ikikawa says to Yamada, why are you looking like that? You are not going to get that chocolate chocolate. Yamada blushes a little and says, "Oh, I didn't mean that." After that, they are walking together. Ikikawa says, "I don't understand why they were meeting secretly, considering they go on dates together and keep meeting each other. And I don't mean that I am feeling jealous of them. Alright then, see you later," and he starts to leave. But Yamada sits on his bicycle and says, "Give me a lift." So Ikikawa takes her and starts moving ahead while Yamada talks to him. A little while later, Ikikawa says, "When you sat on my bicycle with me last time, I saw a police box and got a little scared. But when you asked me last time if I was afraid of a little change, I didn't have the courage to tell you to get off." Yamada says, "I don't know when I said that, but now I understand. Maybe that's why I'm happy now." In saying this, she rests her head against Ikikawa's back. But then she says, "But I still want more. I mean, I'm still hungry." So Ikikawa takes her to a convenience store where there are many chocolates. She buys one and starts eating it. Ikikawa asks her, "Didn't the first-year girls give you chocolates?" Yamada replies, "But I can still eat more." Then changing the topic, she asks, "By the way, what kind of chocolate would make you think that it means something?" Ikikawa says, "That is a very, very difficult question, but maybe I wouldn't know until someone tells me directly." Then he suddenly changes his stance and says, "But it is possible that if some people are given a heart-shaped chocolate, they might get the wrong idea." Hearing this, Yamada looks at her own chocolate that she was eating and it was also heart-shaped. She looks at Ikikawa and says, "You can keep this." Then she notices that some chocolate has gotten onto Ikikawa's cheek. She leans in close to him and says, "You got a little on your cheek too." And she spreads it with her finger, licks the chocolate off it, says bye and leaves. Then he remembers Yamada's words, so he goes back inside the store. Then we are shown Yamada, who is looking at a chocolate muffin and seemed a bit sad. Just then Ikikawa arrives there and says, "Oh, so you found it right here," and pulls out a chocolate named Melty Kiss from his pocket. Handing it to her, he says, "You said you were a boy for today, right?" He hands her the box and quickly leaves. Seeing this, Yamada starts blushing. Meanwhile, Ikikawa is also blushing and thinking to himself, "I don't know what I was thinking giving Yamada a chocolate." After going home, he is still lost in these thoughts, wondering why he specifically chose the Melty Kiss chocolate. Just then a notification pops up on his phone. He checks it, and after seeing it, he quickly comes out of his house. Yamada is standing there. Yamada gets happy seeing Ikikawa and tells him that she had brought her dog out for a walk. And since she thought Ikikawa lives nearby, she decided to bring him along too. As they walk ahead, Yamada gives Ikikawa her dog's leash to hold, but suddenly the dog starts running, so Yamada quickly presses the button on the leash handle, which stops the dog. They walk a little further and find a vending machine. Yamada inserts coins and presses two drink buttons simultaneously, but the drink she wanted doesn't come out. Instead, a black coffee comes out. Seeing this, she gets a little sad, but she gives the black coffee to Ikikawa. Then they are sitting on a bench in a park, and Yamada is telling Ikikawa about her conversation with Kobayashi. Ikikawa tells her, "You are acting a bit weird today." Yamada says, "I have always been weird." Changing the topic, she asks him, "By the way, did anyone give you chocolate today?" Ikikawa thinks about his day, but no one had given him chocolate today. He had only won chocolates from Yamada, and she had given him a half-eaten chocolate. So he tells Yamada, no one gave me chocolate today." He then asks her, "Did you give one to anyone?" Yamada says, "No, I didn't think about giving chocolate to any friend." Ikikawa says, "I agree with Adachi because chocolates give boys misunderstandings. And to be honest, I was lying when I said I don't like sweet things." Hearing this, Yamada takes something out of her bag and says, "If that's the case, then take this," and hands him the same chocolate muffin she had baked earlier. She explains that she accidentally made it a little too sweet, so she gives half of it to Ikikawa and eats the other half herself. Ikikawa thanks her. Just then, Yamada looks at him and says, "By the way, you can get the wrong idea." As she says this, tears begin to fall from her eyes. Crying, she says, "I really couldn't make it properly." Ikikawa eats the muffin and tells Yamada that it is actually very tasty. Yamada says, "Okay, hug me." Ikikawa does exactly that and hugs her. The next day, a school scene is shown where they are cleaning the corridor. Adachi arrives, and looking at his face, his friend asks him, "Why do you look so gloomy?" Adachi says, "I am thinking about what I should give her on White Day." His friend says, "Hey, that's still a month away." Ikikawa says, "Seriously, you should say that you only have 1 month left." And he thinks to himself, "I want to give Yamada something nice on White Day." Then Adachi's friend says to him, "Did you get the chocolate that Moko gave to everyone?" Kobayashi tells Moko, "You should tell him that he is wrong." Moko says, "Let me give him a hint so he understands," and she walks over to him and says, "I would love to get AirPods." But Adachi is lost in his own thoughts and doesn't listen to her. He says, "If she gave me handmade chocolate, I will make handmade undergarments for her." His friend says, "It looks like you're going to get killed." Then the boys continue talking, and Adachi finds out that a girl gave Ikikawa a chocolate. Out of jealousy, he says to him, "That girl must definitely be some old woman." Yamada starts glaring at him from behind. In the evening, Adachi takes Ikikawa along with him to meet someone from whom he can seek advice on what he should give to the girl. But when Adachi brings him there, Ikikawa realizes that he is bringing him to Nanjo. Adachi tells Nanjo that Ikikawa received a Valentine's Valentine's chocolate, so he is wondering what return gift to give the girl on White Day. Nanjo also suggests giving undergarments. Adachi says, I knew it, this is the right thing to give. But Ikikawa couldn't care less about his words. Then Adachi says, alright, I'm going to practice. Ikikawa also says, I'm going home. Just then Yamada comes out of the school building, waves her hand and calls out to Ikikawa. Nanjo walks over and tries to say hello to Yamada, but Ikikawa steps in between them. Yamada quickly closes the window and Ikikawa starts telling Nanjo that he likes Yamada. But just then Yamada arrives and takes Ikikawa away. Nanjo stands there watching them leave. After that, they are walking home, chatting along the way when Yamada remembers something. She hands her bag to Ikikawa. She finds one movie ticket but is unable to find the second one. Then when they reach the station, Yamada puts some of her clothes on him, takes a picture of him and says, wow, you look like an adult now. Ikikawa says, are you making fun of me? Come on, we should go now. Just then Yamada puts her hand in Ikikawa's pocket and pulls out the ticket saying, oh, so the ticket was here, and hands it to Ikikawa. Seeing it, she starts to leave, but Ikikawa stops her and asks, can I go with you? Hearing this, Yamada gets happy and says, yes, why not? They travel together by train and reach the movie theater where the film is going to be screened. In his mind, Ikikawa was feeling happy and shy at the same time because this felt like a date to him. And they decide to stop somewhere to grab a bite. They choose a restaurant where Kana works. Kana is very shocked to see them and says, going on an after-school date. Ikikawa says, no, we are just going to watch a movie. Kana replies, that is exactly what a date is. But there was also a grumpy guy working alongside Kana. He asks them, so tell me, what do you want? Yamada says, we will sit inside and eat, and they both walk in. Ikikawa asks Kana, by the way, what are you thinking? Kana says, even if I win the heart of a prince and become extremely rich, there is still one thing I will never have, and that is going on an after-school date in a school uniform. She grabs Ikikawa and says, you must have pulled some trick. Ikikawa says, stop it or I'll leave a bad review. Kana lets him go and walks away. However, when she goes to prepare their order, the grumpy guy is teaching her how to make it. Ikikawa tells Yamada that when Kana first got this job, she used to practice a lot at home. Kana then returns, serves their takoyaki and leaves. Yamada says, actually, I don't really like takoyaki. Ikikawa says, but you were the one who wanted to eat this. Yamada says, yeah, I like it, and she picks up a takoyaki, blowing on it to cool it down. But the toppings blow off and land on Ikikawa. She apologizes and eats the takoyaki, but it's too hot and burns her mouth. Yamada then tells Ikikawa, by the way, I have a photo shoot on Sunday. You can come watch if you want. Hearing this, Ikikawa hesitates at first, but after Yamada insists, he agrees. Yamada then picks up another takoyaki to eat. Ikikawa says, you don't eat it like that, and to show her how, he breaks the takoyaki slightly in the middle so it can be cooled down by blowing on it. But as he starts blowing on it, Yamada leans her face forward so that Ikikawa can feed it to her. Ikikawa feeds it to her, but internally he is feeling incredibly shy. After that, they start to leave and Kana says, you don't need to worry, I'll pay your bill. But her coworker asks, are you sure? Even though this guy was new, Kana was still getting scolded by him. They then arrive at the theater to watch the movie. Yamada explains that watching this movie will really help her with her upcoming movie shoot. Soon after, the movie begins and they start watching it. Ikikawa recalls a movie Yamada had worked in where she played the role of a bad girl and was killed off very early. He is deep in thought, so his eyes are closed. Yamada leans close to him and says, wake up. Ikikawa says, no, I was sleeping. But as he looks at the screen, a kissing scene is playing. Seeing this, he gets embarrassed. But when he looks at Yamada, she is watching intently. Ikikawa realizes that she is trying to improve her acting skills by observing these scenes. After the movie, as they are leaving, Yamada talks a lot about the film. Suddenly, Ikikawa blurts out, I want to know you more. He then quickly changes his tune, saying, I want to know because I didn't realize before that you can learn acting from movies. Yamada says, yes, I learn a lot from movies, and then softly adds, but I learned something else from this movie besides acting, and places a finger on her lips. After that, while heading home, they play a word game together, which Ikikawa loses. The next day, Ikikawa gets dressed, wakes Kana up, and asks her, do I look weird in these clothes? Kana says, no, you look really good. Hearing this, Ikikawa leaves. Kana notices that it's only 7:00 a.m. and wonders, where is he going this early? Ikikawa heads to the location Yamada had told him about. On the way, he also buys a gift for her. When he arrives, he sees there is no crowd at all. Because of this, he hesitates to go closer. He stands at a distance and watches Yamada. She's talking to a guy. Seeing this, Ikikawa thinks that if he goes over there, it might feel weird to her and he might also disturb her. So he walks a little further away. Then the manga character, that is Ikikawa's inner voice, explains to him that he shouldn't back down like this. Ikikawa is just about to yell back at the voice when Yamada appears. Ikikawa asks her, what are you doing here? Yamada says, I saw you running away, so I came here. Then she apologizes to him and Ikikawa asks, for what? Yamada says, because you didn't enjoy this. Ikikawa replies, work isn't supposed to be for fun. Yamada says, oh, you think so? By the way, remember what I said before, I can't do many things well and I end up quitting them. I feel the same way about this job because there are many actresses cuter and more beautiful than me. I always end up getting stuck in some problem. I don't know why I am still doing this, but you are the one who made me realize that I actually like my work, and since then I have been very happy. Ikikawa thinks to himself, if she is happy, I should be happy too. But if she doesn't go back, she'll get fired and she'll just become a normal junior high school girl again. After thinking this, he grabs Yamada's hand and starts leading her back. He thinks to himself, if she were just a normal girl, maybe I would never have fallen in love with her. He takes her back to the shoot location. There the same guy tells Yamada, hey, you're very late. But when he sees Ikikawa holding her hand, he starts walking towards them. Seeing him approach, Ikikawa starts to walk away, but Yamada holds onto his hand. Ikikawa whispers, he will misunderstand. The guy comes closer and says, by the way, you don't look like a normal friend. Ikikawa was very intimidated by his appearance. Yamada says, he is my friend. I mean, this is Ikikawa. Hearing Ikikawa's name, the guy gets a little surprised and hands him his business card. Here we learn that this man is Yamada's manager. He says, by the way, I like your eyes. Yamada quickly steps in between them and says, no, wait. After that, Yamada takes him to meet her team members. A lady there asks Ikikawa, oh, so you are in junior high, do you like any girl? Her colleague says, what are you talking about? The lady replies, oh, I just want to know what kind of girls kids this age like. Just then someone announces that Nico Okada is ready. Ikikawa looks toward her. The lady says, you don't know her. She's a cover model for Soul and appears on TV too. Nico walks over to Yamada and in a tearful voice says, Anna, you know that taxi driver didn't look at me even once. Anna, you're really cool. Then becoming serious again, she asks the lady about Ikikawa, is this your kid? The lady retorts, do I look like a mother of a kid? After that, Yamada and Nico start their photo shoot together. Ikikawa stands at a distance watching them and thinks to himself, just by being together, no one will ever mistake us for a couple. Manager then walks up to him and asks, do you want to go home? Ikikawa says no. The manager then asks, by the way, do you consider yourself completely worthless? Ikikawa is unable to respond to this. The manager says, I have been working with her for 4 years. That means I am like a parent to her. And honestly, that girl is very honest and genuine. You know she likes you, but this is a very crucial time for her. Therefore, your relationship could cause problems with her work. You understand, right? Ikikawa says, wait a second, we are not dating or anything. After learning the whole story, the manager gets a bit embarrassed and says, but looking at you two, it didn't seem that way. Ikikawa says, I respect Yamada. The manager says, you are not as shy as you look. Ikikawa replies, yes, compared to before. Later, they're traveling back home together on the train. Yamada asks him, so how was your day? Ikikawa replies, it was quite busy. This line of work really requires a lot of people. Yamada says, that's not what I was asking. Ikikawa says, oh, that reminds me, and takes out his phone. Showing her a photo, he says, I secretly took a picture of you too. Yamada says, if you were going to take one, you should have told me. I would have struck a better pose. Ikikawa blurts out, why? You look so beautiful in this. He gets embarrassed right after saying it, and Yamada becomes very happy. The next day at school, his teacher comes to him and asks, Ikikawa, can you be the student representative and give a speech at the farewell for the seniors? Ikikawa immediately declines, but Yamada comes over and says, you know you should give this speech because it sounds like fun. Ikikawa argues, but there are students much more intelligent and genius than me in this class. Moko walks over and says, but you came second in the class, so you should be the one giving the speech. The teacher tells Ikikawa, I am not forcing you, but the rehearsal is tomorrow and no one else is willing to give the speech. Ikikawa looks at Yamada and then says, all right, I am ready to do it until you find someone else. Hearing this makes Yamada happy. When he goes on stage for the rehearsal, seeing so many students makes him lose his voice. He was speaking so softly that no one could hear him. After the speech, his teacher approaches him and says, your voice wasn't audible at all. Ikikawa makes an excuse, maybe there's a problem with the sound system. As Ikikawa is walking away, Yamada spots him and says, your speech was really good. Ikikawa sighs, no, now they'll just find someone else instead of me. But Yamada says, come with me, I will help you practice. Ikikawa tries to refuse, but Yamada insists, I will teach you. Come on, first breathe in, take a deep breath, and she starts sliding her hand down his chest. Ikikawa catches her hand, moves it up, and says, the windpipe is up here. Yamada blushes and turns around. After that, Ikikawa begins practicing his speech. A little later, they sit down and start talking. Yamada gets quite impressed by Ikikawa's words. She tells him, I just want to see you try. Suddenly, someone approaches. Hearing their voices, Ikikawa covers Yamada's mouth and they both hide behind some equipment. They peek and see Nanjo standing there with a girl. The girl confesses to Nanjo that she likes him and wants to go on a date with him, but Nanjo rejects her, saying, I love someone else. The girl asks, is it Yamada? Nanjo replies, yes. The girl gets furious and yells, then why did you keep hanging out with me? Overhearing Nanjo's words ruins both Yamada and Ikikawa's mood, but Ikikawa becomes serious and declares, I will give the farewell speech. At home, he was practicing his speech while his mom watched him. Ikikawa asks, why are you staring at me? His mom replies, you were the one who asked me to. Ikikawa recalls that he wasn't like this in his childhood. He used to consider everyone trash compared to himself, and he was extremely confident. In the present, Kana comes up to him and says, look, I brought supplements for you. She opens his shirt and starts applying a gel to his throat, saying it will help his voice. Ikikawa yells, hey, why are you doing this? A while later, Ikikawa asks his mom for money to get a haircut. His mom hands him the usual amount, but Ikikawa says, no, it will cost more than this. Hearing this, Kana is a bit shocked. Ikikawa then starts making a list of of things he needs to do to look better. Soon after, he goes to the barbershop for his haircut, returns home and resumes practicing his speech. His speech was so moving that it brings his sister to tears. The next day is graduation day. Ikikawa arrives there. Seeing his haircut, Yamada tells him, "You look good." Then Yamada's friends also gather around, which makes Ikikawa a little shy. Serena asks, "By the way, have you ever tried using hair wax?" She borrows Adachi's hair wax and starts styling Ikikawa's hair. When she finishes, Ikikawa looks incredibly weird. Serena says, "This is the gangster hairstyle. Now no one will mess with you." After that, Yamada steps forward and fixes his hair back to how it was. Then they notice that Kobayashi is sitting there completely quiet. They ask her about it. Kobayashi says, "It's nothing. I was just thinking that everything will change once we go into our third year because our classes will change too." Serena says, "Oh, nothing like that will happen," and they leave chatting about it. Yamada hugs Ikikawa and says, "Maybe we will be separated now." Ikikawa reassures her, "Trust me, nothing like that will happen." Just then their teacher arrives and says, "Come on, the event is about to begin." Ikikawa starts walking with him, but when he pulls out his script, he realizes that he accidentally brought his planning list instead. He informs his sister about this. Kana says, "Don't worry, I will bring your script to you." She hops on her scooter and sets off to deliver it. However, she didn't know the way to the school. Right then, her coworker arrives and asks her what happened. Kana asks him for directions to the school. The guy says, "Yeah, I know the way. Come on, I'll take you there," and leads the way. Meanwhile, Ikikawa is panicking at the school, thinking he won't be able to pull this off. Just then, Yamada comes up to him, encourages him, and even gives him her keychain to boost his confidence further. The farewell event begins, and the other teachers give their speeches. But as he waits, Ikikawa is becoming extremely nervous. He decides he should just go and clearly tell the teacher that he forgot to bring his script. However, when he goes to his teacher, the teacher starts thanking him because Ikikawa was the only one who had stepped up for the speech. The teacher grabs Ikikawa and leads him toward the stage. Ikikawa was absolutely not ready to go on stage. But then he stops, realizes he just has to do this, and gathers his resolve. Meanwhile, his sister had arrived outside the school. The staff member at the gate tells her, "Outsiders are not allowed inside, ma'am." Kana snaps at her and says, "My brother is the school representative and I am his sister." Just then an announcement echoes, and now coming to the stage, Kyotaro Ikikawa. Hearing this, Kana quickly dashes inside. Meanwhile, Ikikawa had now stepped onto the stage. He was still lacking confidence. Just then his inner voice, the manga character, speaks up. "Everyone who is with you believes in you and cares for you, so pour out whatever is in your heart." Ikikawa is instantly filled with confidence. He starts reciting the words from the script that he had memorized, but he can only speak up to the part he remembered. After that, he begins speaking straight from his heart. His sincere words make everyone emotional. Ikikawa himself starts crying as he delivers it. When the speech is over, everyone applauds him and everyone genuinely loved his speech. As Ikikawa walks off the stage, he reverts to his old mindset, telling himself, "Everyone is trash in front of me." His body was completely exhausted from the stress, so his teacher quickly catches him as he stumbles. They take him to the nurse's office, where Yamada comes to check on him and praises his speech. Just then Nanjo walks in and also praises his speech. He then asks Yamada, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" Ikikawa returns Yamada's keychain, saying, "Thank you for lending me this. It's okay, you guys can leave. I want to rest for a bit." Nanjo says to Yamada, "Let's go sit over there and talk," and they move to another side of the room. Yamada congratulates him on his graduation. Meanwhile, Ikikawa is thinking that if this guy tries to do anything funny, he will pluck his own hair and poke his eye out because he isn't the old Ikikawa anymore. On the other side, Nanjo gets straight to the point and says, "Yamada, I love you. That's why I want you to accept my butt. If you take it, I'll know you have accepted my feelings." But Yamada can't hold back anymore and clearly tells Nanjo that she loves someone else. As she says this, tears fill her eyes. Hearing her words from behind the curtain, Ikikawa finally realizes that Yamada actually loves him. He hadn't been able to fully grasp this until now. Upon realizing this truth, tears flow from his eyes as well. Nanjo says, "Alright then, I guess it didn't work out." He picks up his things and as he leaves says, "Okay, I will text you during the holidays. Our student representative gave me your line ID." Yamada immediately retorts, "You are lying." Nanjo smirks and says, "Caught you." This meant Nanjo had figured out that she loves Ikikawa. When he steps outside, he sees Moko and her friend standing there, having eavesdropped on the whole conversation. A little while later, Ikikawa also walks out. Nanjo asks him, "I left you two alone inside, but you're still walking out." Yamada then walks out as well. Ikikawa and Yamada's eyes meet, after which they both walk away in separate directions. After that, he goes home, and when he comes out after taking a bath, he hears his speech playing from the living room. When he goes there to check, he sees Kana showing the video recording of his speech to their family. Seeing this, Ikikawa quickly rushes over and snatches the phone from her. Kana says, all right, but you are still forgetting something. You still have to confess your love, understand? Come on, let me help you practice." And to make him practice, she says, "Ikikawa, I love you, let's go on a date." Later at school, when Ikikawa is sitting at his desk, Yamada looks at him and Ikikawa's eyes meet hers, but then both of them quickly look away. Just then Kobayashi says to Yamada, "The basketball club is going to karaoke with the graduates. Will you come too?" Yamada says, "Yes, I will go." Later, after school, school when they are discussing going to karaoke. Ikikawa comes out and notices that some boys from their group are also going. Because of this, Ikikawa secretly follows them and reaches the karaoke place. He sits alone in a separate room while the others are celebrating in another room. Over there, a boy asked Yamada to sing, but Yamada was still busy eating snacks. Ikikawa sneaks out of his room and peeks through the door of their room. However, some of the graduate girls who had gone out to get drinks return and spot him. They recognize him as the one who gave the speech at the farewell, so they drag him inside with them. Seeing him, everyone is shocked, and Yamada was the most shocked of all. Seeing them, Ikikawa panics and runs away to another room. He says to himself, "I wish the ground would swallow me right now so I could hide." But a little while later, Yamada comes in. Ikikawa asks her, "Aren't you enjoying the party?" Yamada says, "No, I wasn't really enjoying it that much. But tell me, what are you doing here?" Ikikawa starts racking his brain to come up with an excuse. But Yamada comes closer to him and asks, "Did you follow me here?" Ikikawa gets a little flustered and says, "No, it's not like that, I was just worried." Then Yamada gets a bit serious, blushes, and asks, "Ikikawa, did you overhear me saying that I love someone?" She then starts explaining herself, saying that she only said that to get rid of Nanjo, but she was blushing furiously while saying it. Ikikawa yells loudly, "No, I wasn't worried about that." Hesitating slightly, he adds, "I was just worried because you were going out with those other boys, that's why I followed you." Saying this, he turns away and apologizes to her. Yamada gets happy and playfully tickles his back, but just then they both notice that several people are watching them from outside. After that, Ikikawa is dragged into the main karaoke room and forced to sing, which makes him incredibly embarrassed. And just like that, their party comes to an end. The next day, Ikikawa is in the school library, thinking about everything that happened. Just then, Hara comes in and says to Ikikawa, "I'm glad I found you here, I needed a favor from you." But right then, Yamada walks in and asks, "What are you two doing here alone?" Seeing her, Hara says, "I'm glad you're here too." She tells them that Kenzaki has asked her to go out on a date. Because of this, she asks Yamada and Ikikawa to come along with them as well. Yamada agrees, but Ikikawa tries to refuse. Just then, Hara whispers softly, 14th March. Ikikawa suddenly remembers that tomorrow is White Day. Then they go to Kenzaki, and Hara informs him that the two of them are coming along. Yamada says to Ikikawa, "Tomorrow will be fun." The scene then shifts to the next day where Ikikawa is taking the train to their meeting spot. However, he arrives way too early. Just then Hara also arrives and tells him that she got here early out of excitement. They start talking and Ikikawa tells her that he wants to buy a gift for Yamada. So when they reach the meeting spot, Hara takes him shopping. Ikikawa thinks about getting jewelry for Yamada but feels it would be weird. Hara points to a hat and asks, "So, what do you think about this?" Ikikawa says, "Yeah, it would look good on her." Then he adds, "Alright, a hat for Yamada." Just then Yamada arrives. Ikikawa finishes his sentence saying, "It will look cute," but Yamada misunderstands and thinks Ikikawa was calling Hara cute. Because of this, her mood sours and she says to Hara, "Yeah, this will look good on you," shooting a glare at Ikikawa. On the other hand, Kenzaki is getting furious and keeps whispering in Ikikawa's ear, "I will kill you, I will kill you." After that, they go to a restaurant together where Kenzaki is excessively praising Hara. Ikikawa thinks to himself, "I only said cute because I thought the hat would look cute on Yamada." Then Yamada and Hara return with their meals. But when Kenzaki sees that Hara has ordered very little, he says, "Hara, you can eat till your stomach is full, I'm going to pay." She replies, "I'm on a diet, that's why I'm eating this much." But Kenzaki keeps insisting. So Ikikawa says, "Kenzaki, you realize you're just forcing your opinions on Hara, right? If she doesn't want to eat more, you shouldn't pressure her." Kenzaki admits, "Yeah, you're right, but my feelings will never change whether she's fat or thin. Hara, I like you and you look really cute when you eat." Hearing this, Hara blushes. Meanwhile, Ikikawa and Yamada's jaws drop because Kenzaki and Hara are openly confessing their feelings to each other. After that, Kenzaki gives her the gift he bought. Hara gets incredibly happy seeing it and says, "Alright then, I will eat till I'm full for you today." Later, after finishing their meal, they are heading back. Kenzaki and Ikikawa step aside for a moment. Kenzaki tells Ikikawa that Yamada helped him pick out the gift he got for Hara. He explains that he arrived early and ran into Yamada, so he picked out the gift with her. Kenzaki then starts praising Yamada excessively, so Ikikawa tells him don't talk too much about her and don't go shopping with her either. Kenzaki asks, "Is it because she's so popular?" Ikikawa replies, "No, that's not the reason. The truth is, Yamada is mine." Just then Yamada and Hara walk up, and hearing this from Ikikawa's mouth makes Yamada turn completely red. Realizing they heard him, Ikikawa gets extremely awkward and tries to correct what he said. They then walk outside. Kenzaki now fully understands Ikikawa's feelings. Hara comes from behind and says, "You know, Yamada got lost, so we should split up and look for her." She grabs Kenzaki and walks away with him. After they leave, Yamada appears and takes Ikikawa with her. At a spot nearby, Yamada is eating ice cream and asks Ikikawa, "So tell me, where do you want to go?" Ikikawa says, "We should probably head home now." They take the train back together and it is quite crowded. Yamada leans close to Ikikawa and asks, "Do you have something special for me in there?" Ikikawa replies, "Yes." After they reach their destination, they sit on a bench. Yamada is talking to him, but Ikikawa is lost in thought. Mustering his courage, he takes out the muffin he baked for Yamada. Seeing it, Yamada becomes overjoyed. Ikikawa says, you remember, right? I was there too when we were learning how to make these muffins. Yamada starts devouring the muffin rapidly. Ikikawa says, take one bite at a time. Yamada asks, oh, is that so? Then she notices something hard inside the muffin. She pulls it out and sees that it's a hand chain bracelet. Ikikawa thinks to himself, giving jewelry is really weird. I should probably get out of here quickly, and he starts to walk away, but Yamada follows him, stops him, and says, put this on me. Ikikawa puts the bracelet on her wrist. Yamada asks, so how does it look? Blushing, Ikikawa says, it's so beautiful I could die. He then softly whispers, I like her, I really like her. He looks at Yamada, who is crying tears of joy. He gently wipes her tears and thinks to himself, this is our way of taking a step forward, and I truly love Yamada. The scene then shifts to the next day. Adachi brings some cookies with him and says, yesterday was Sunday, so I will give these to Moko today. This is a return gift for what she gave me. Ikikawa points out, but Moko gave chocolates to everyone. Adachi insists, but mine had a heart-shaped pistachio. His plan is to leave the cookies in her shoe locker, and Ikikawa is supposed to tell Moko when she sees them. Adachi steps forward and places the cookies in Moko's shoe locker. But as he steps back, the cookies fall out. Ikikawa picks them up and puts them back. Just then, Yamada and Moko arrive, but Ikikawa realizes that he accidentally put the cookies in Yamada's shoe locker instead, and both girls had seen him do it. Yamada takes the box out of her locker and Moko grabs it, handing her the letter attached to it. Moko walks ahead and says, oh, I see. Ikikawa grabs her hand and says, wait, but realizing what he just did, he quickly lets go. Just then Adachi's mom drags Adachi over and says, you will go there right now and say thank you to her. I won't let my cookies go to waste. Adachi walks up to Moko and says, thank you for the chocolate you gave me because I really liked it. Moko replies, I gave that to everyone. Adachi says, yeah, but... and then he mumbles, never mind, and his mom drags him away again. Moko hands the box of cookies back to Yamada. Yamada takes the letter out and reads it. It says, the chocolate was really delicious. Thank you so much for it. I hope we can be lovey-dovey with each other again. Reading this, Yamada blushes furiously. The scene then cuts to the classroom. Kobayashi's plan was that if they pretend to fight with each other, the teacher would put them all in the low-grade group so they could stay together. But when the teacher walks in, he sees the whole thing. Kobayashi dramatically says, teacher, these guys behave so badly with me. I don't want to be in the same group as them. The teacher simply replies, oh, okay, and walks away. This completely backfires on Kobayashi's plan. After that, Adachi and his friends approach Ikikawa and ask for his line ID. A little while later, as they are walking home, Yamada messages Ikikawa, calling him to the basketball club. When Ikikawa arrives, Yamada is already there. Ikikawa warns, we don't have permission to be here. But Yamada says, come on, play one-on-one with me, and they start playing. But every time she shoots the ball, it misses the basket. She says, I'm not good at scoring, but I'm good at defending. Ikikawa takes the ball and moves forward while Yamada tries to block him. Ikikawa tries to dodge her, but his hand accidentally lands in the wrong place. Both of them freeze and blush heavily. Yamada says, alright, whoever scores the first goal gets to make the other person do whatever they want. It can be anything. Ikikawa thinks to himself, I will ask her out on a date. They resume playing. Ikikawa takes the ball, moves toward the hoop and throws the ball. The ball rolls around the rim but starts to fall out. Suddenly, Yamada jumps up and tips the ball into the basket, cheering happily. Ikikawa says, but I would have scored that. Yamada had accidentally tipped the ball into the basket she was supposed to be defending. But Yamada insists, I scored the goal so I win. Picking up the ball, she says, I want to be able to call you Kaio. Hearing this makes Ikikawa blush a little. Just then, their teacher arrives and scolds them, yelling, hey, go home quickly. Later, they are both at their respective homes talking online. Ikikawa is still blushing over the fact that she wants to call him Kaio. He starts imagining that when they eventually smash, she will keep calling him Kaio over and over again. Suddenly, his imaginary manga character appears and says, it seems you are going a little too deep into the gutter. Ikikawa asks, hey, who are you? The manga character says, I am Lucifer, the side of you with the dirty thoughts. Just then, Kana walks in and Lucifer turns into a baby. Kana says, you know your birthday is coming up, right? I feel like your birthday is going to be really busy this year. Ikikawa says, Yamada will be busy during the spring break. Kana acts shocked and teases, man, I didn't even mention Anna-chan once. A few days pass and it's finally Ikikawa's birthday. As he's taking the train home, Yamada messages him asking to go see the cherry blossoms that night. Ikikawa goes to the spot and Yamada arrives wearing nice clothes. As they walk and talk, Ikikawa advises her, you shouldn't wander outside this late at night. Suddenly, they both sense that someone is following them. Ikikawa quickly steps in front of Yamada to protect her, but then he realizes it's just his dad. His dad says, oh, I was walking behind you guys because I didn't want to disturb you. Realizing it's his dad, Ikikawa quickly steps away from Yamada. Yamada politely greets his dad. His dad explains, I just went to pick up the cake I ordered since today is Kaiotero's birthday. Yamada is shocked, what today? She turns to Ikikawa and asks, why didn't you tell me? Blushing, Ikikawa asks, we are having steak tonight, would you like to come over? Yamada happily accepts, yes, yes, I will come. They all arrive at Ikikawa's house where Kana gets overly excited to see Yamada. A little later, Yamada is shown talking to her mom on the phone, telling her that she will be staying at a friend's house tonight. Her mom asks, which friend is this? I don't think I know her. Just then, Kana walks into Yamada's frame wearing a flashy dress and asks, Anna-chan, look, how does this look? Hearing Kana's voice, Yamada's mom assumes she is at a girl's house, so she doesn't object. They all celebrate Ikikawa's birthday together. Kana keeps piling food onto Yamada's plate. To be polite, Yamada lies and says she doesn't eat much. Ikikawa thinks to himself, that is the biggest lie ever told. Ikikawa's family starts praising Yamada, saying that's probably why she looks like a model. Ikikawa proudly says she actually is a model. Kana suddenly realizes this, looks at her own flashy outfit and thinks, how did I wear these clothes in front of a professional model? Yamada then pours juice for Kana and offers some to Ikikawa's dad. His dad replies, I'm a Ronaldo fan, I only drink tea. Kana then gives Ikikawa her present, which turns out to be an anime character figurine wearing a bunny outfit. This embarrasses Ikikawa in front of Yamada. Then the lights go out and Ikikawa's mom brings in the cake while humming the wedding march. Ikikawa says, Mom, that's wedding music. Everyone wishes him a happy birthday and Ikikawa blows out the candles. Yamada leans close to his ear and whispers, Happy birthday, Kaio-chan. Ikikawa has now turned 14. When Kana turns the lights back on, they see that Ikikawa has passed out on the floor. A little while later, Kana and Yamada are chatting. During their conversation, Kana casually tells Yamada, you should just sleep over here tonight. Ikikawa's mom agrees, yes, it's no problem, you can stay here. Yamada calls her mom and lets Ikikawa's mom speak to her to get permission. But knowing Yamada is staying over makes Ikikawa very nervous. His mom comes up to him and says, I'm letting Yamada use the bath first. This makes Ikikawa panic even more. He looks at Kana, who is leaning against the stairs, half asleep. She wakes up, hands Ikikawa some clothes and says, here, go give these to Yamada. She can wear them after she showers. Ikikawa accidentally grabs his sister's underwear as well, so he quickly drops it. His sister mutters, alright, I'm going to sleep now. And after handing him the clothes, she leans against the stairs and falls back asleep. Ikikawa stands outside the bathroom and calls out to Yamada, which makes her a little shy. She quickly sinks deeper into the bathtub and asks, yes, what is it? Ikikawa says, I'm leaving some clothes out here for you. You can wear them after you shower. He starts to leave, but Yamada calls out to him, I left my hair tie outside. Could you bring it to me? He brings it to her. Yamada opens the bathroom door just enough to stick her hand out and takes the hair tie from him. The whole situation feels a bit embarrassing for both of them. After Yamada finishes her shower, Ikikawa goes into shower, but he doesn't have the courage to get into the same bathtub water. When he comes out after his shower, he sees that Yamada is still awake in the living room reading something. He walks over to her. Yamada asks him to sit next to her and they start talking. Ikikawa asks, what are you doing? Yamada explains, shooting for the movie is about to start. That's why I'm reading the script. They continue talking and Ikikawa mentions feeling a bit lonely. Hearing this, Yamada pulls him into a hug, resting his head against her chest. This makes Ikikawa's heart race uncontrollably. Ikikawa starts opening up, telling her more about himself. But after a while, Yamada falls asleep. Ikikawa leans close to her, but he doesn't do anything inappropriate. He simply covers her with a blanket and walks away. But after he leaves, we see that Yamada wasn't actually asleep. She had been awake the whole time. After that, the scene of the next morning is shown, where Ikikawa wakes up and comes out. While brushing his teeth, he was thinking to himself how all this happened and Yamada was also brushing her teeth right there. Then she asks him, by the way, what does your dad call you? Ikikawa says, my dad calls me Kaio-chan or Kaio. Yamada asks, and what do your friends call you? Ikikawa tells her, they call me Ikikawa or Ikikawa-kun. So Yamada says, then I want to call you Kayotaro. Hearing this, Ikikawa blushes a lot. Then Yamada gets ready and starts leaving for Hiroshima because she has a shoot there today. But Ikikawa forgets to wish her good luck. A little while later, a scene is shown where Ikikawa was sitting in a park with his friends, and they were talking about some girl. Adachi was speaking very badly about that girl because she was dating a guy and staying over at his house at night. Then Moko arrives, sits next to Ikikawa and says, no matter what that girl does, it shouldn't matter to you because she is dating that guy. That's why she can do whatever she wants. You understand, right, Ikikawa? Ikikawa says, yes, I understand, and he says in his mind, Yamada spent the whole night with a guy she isn't even dating. He thinks to himself that maybe he is getting in the way of her acting career and that he shouldn't have stopped her last night. Then Kenzaki asks Yamada's friend, by the way, Yamada didn't come with you. Yamada's friend replies, she went to Hiroshima today because her movie shoot is about to start. Then they start praising Yamada a lot and talking among themselves. Seeing this makes Ikikawa feel good. When he returns home, he is talking to Yamada on a video call. Ikikawa wanted to say something to Yamada. But just then, Yamada's mom arrives, having just taken a bath. Seeing her, Yamada quickly tries to hide the phone. But when her mom sits next to her, the phone falls down and Ikikawa ends up seeing her mom's legs. Because of this, he isn't able to say anything to her. A little while later, a scene is shown where Yamada reaches the shooting location with her manager and mom. An actor arrives there and Yamada is playing the role of his daughter. Meanwhile, Ikikawa gathers his courage and sends a good luck message to Yamada. Seeing this, Yamada becomes very happy. After that, Ikikawa checks Yamada's profile, where she had posted a photo taken at his house. He starts worrying that Yamada's fans might get the wrong idea. So he goes to the comment section of that post, where a guy named Pigman saw the post and commented, "This photo is from a new place. Maybe this is her boyfriend's." Seeing this, Ikikawa starts to worry and checks more of his comments. That guy was talking a bit too much about Yamada's personal details. That's why Ikikawa starts replying to him so that the guy wouldn't write much more about Yamada's personal details, but that guy blocks Ikikawa. After that, the shooting scene is shown where Yamada was acting alongside that actor, but she accidentally starts crying during the acting. It was an emotional scene, but Yamada wasn't supposed to cry in it. However, the actor says, "Your acting skills are really good." And the director also says, "If your tears came out after the dialogue, then there is no problem." Then the actor praises Yamada and leaves. After that, a night scene is shown where Yamada was talking to Ikikawa, telling him everything that happened today. She also tells him that she doesn't know why she started crying, but maybe she has started to understand Ikikawa now. Hearing this, Ikikawa blushes a little and they talk a bit more. Ikikawa realizes that all the moments he has spent with Yamada were not meaningless at all. A while later, Ikikawa was checking Yamada's profile again where she had uploaded another post. Just then Kana comes in, shows him a photo and says, "Can I show off this photo to my friends?" In that photo, there was Yamada, Kana, and Ikikawa. Seeing this, Ikikawa quickly snatches the phone from her and deletes the photo. Then he checks the post from his phone where that guy had commented again and exposed Yamada's location. Ikikawa becomes very worried for Yamada. The next day when Yamada was talking to Ikikawa on a video call, Ikikawa advises her not to wander around outside too much or fans might recognize her. But before Yamada could say anything more, her phone turns off and she was sitting by the seaside. Because of this, Ikikawa thinks someone pushed her, so he starts calling and messaging her repeatedly, but there was no reply. Day turns into night like this and Ikikawa couldn't focus on anything, feeling extremely panicked for Yamada. Then he remembers there is only one person who would know where Yamada is right now. So he goes to Yamada's house and sits there. Then Yamada's dad arrives. Seeing him, Ikikawa says, "What a coincidence," and he just wants to know how Yamada is doing. But he isn't able to figure out what happened to Yamada even from her dad's expression. Yamada's dad checks the time and says, "It's 11:00 p.m. and it's very cold outside. Come inside with me," and he brings him inside where he gives Ikikawa some tea. Ikikawa drinks the tea and likes it very much. Then Yamada's dad says, "Kids shouldn't stay out this late. Call your parents quickly and let them know." Ikikawa thinks Yamada's dad is angry. Just then Yamada's dad gets a call. He picks it up and says, "Yes, tell me, Anna." Yamada asks him to pass on a message. So Yamada's dad shows his phone to Ikikawa and asks, "Do you know this place?" There was a map on the phone. Ikikawa sees it and says, "This is my house." Yamada's dad calls Anna and hands his phone to Ikikawa. From the other side, Yamada's mom says, "Since you are missing me so much that you keep calling." Ikikawa says something from his side. Yamada's mom asks, "Who is speaking?" Ikikawa states his name. Yamada quickly takes the phone from her mom and says, "Kyotaro, at that time my mom suddenly came over, which is why my phone fell into the water." And she keeps talking continuously. Because of this, Ikikawa says, "Stop for a second and take a deep breath." Then he tells her that she should restore her phone data from cloud storage. Ikikawa gives the phone back to Yamada's dad, and on the other side, Yamada hands the phone to her mom and tells her, "Actually, I like Kyotaro." Meanwhile, Ikikawa also tells Yamada's dad, "I like Anna and I like her with all my heart." Yamada's dad writes his game friend ID on a piece of paper, hands it to him, and says, "Let's play a game together." Hearing this, Ikikawa becomes happy because he understood that her dad had given his approval. Just like that, the winter break ends, and on the weekend, Ikikawa was texting with Yamada. Yamada tells him that she is at a restaurant and tells him the restaurant's name. Then when he checks other people's accounts, he sees Pigman's account and a post where Pigman is also going to that same restaurant. Because of this, Ikikawa starts panicking a lot and runs quickly to reach that restaurant. Yamada sees him and is about to call his name, but she stays quiet because she was with a girl. And this is none other than Nico, the girl from the photo shoot, and she recognizes Ikikawa. Ikikawa thinks to himself, if Nico is with Yamada, then where is Pigman? So to catch Pigman, Ikikawa asks, "Yamada, can I join you guys here?" Yamada says, "Yes, why not?" And they go inside. Ikikawa thinks to himself, a famous model would never do this. But he mentions the name Pigman next to her and the glass in Nico's hand starts shaking because she gets nervous. Ikikawa realizes that she is Pigman. After that, the noodles they ordered arrive. Ikikawa says, "I ordered the small size." The staff there replies, "And that is what I gave you." Then Ikikawa remembers that in places like this, food is served to groups of 5, and whoever is the last to finish gets yelled at by all the staff. Nico and Yamada already start eating, so Ikikawa also starts eating quickly and Yamada finishes hers right as she starts. Yamada steps outside, so Ikikawa tells Nico that he is also a fan of Yamada, that is, Honor Aquino. He tells her that the person she blocked was him responding to her. He also tells her you shouldn't share Anna's personal details in the comment section like that. While talking, Ikikawa finishes the noodles in his bowl. When he comes outside, Yamada teases him, "You really took a lot of time." Nico sees them acting like this. They look at Nico and Nico says, "Yamada, I have never seen you make such a sweet and cute face before." To change the subject, Yamada holds Nico's hand and says, "I really like you a lot, Nico. I hope we can hang out together again." But Nico says, "I don't want to ruin my relationship with an idol," and starts leaving. Ikikawa approaches her and threatens her this time, saying, "If you start revealing her personal information to people again, I won't spare you." Nico quickly leaves, and a little while later, she comes online from the Pigman ID and posts, "I just exchanged contact information with a model." Seeing this, Ikikawa says she will never change. Then Yamada notices that in his rush, Ikikawa wore 2 different colored shoes. A little while later, they are heading back on the train where Yamada comes close to Ikikawa and says, "Sorry you had to worry so much because of me," and both of them blush. Ikikawa says, "No, I was just thinking crazy things." But it's true that there are some people who want to ruin famous models. And stepping a little away from her, he adds, "That's why you should be careful when posting photos." Yamada tells him, "I don't want you to always be worried because of me. I want to become an adult now." Hearing this, Lucifer appears and says, "Oh, you want to grow up? Then you'll have to do adult things that a boy and a girl do together." Ikikawa tells him to stay quiet. The next day, a scene at school is shown. Ikikawa is wondering which class he will be in now that he is in his 3rd year of junior high. He meets Moko on the way, who tells him, "We are in the same class." Ikikawa goes to check his class, while Yamada is a bit sad because she doesn't know if Ikikawa is in her class or not. Then Ikikawa arrives outside the classroom and gathers his courage to open the door where he sees Yamada. Yamada gets very excited, comes over, grabs his hand and says, "Wow, we are in the same class." But everyone starts looking at them. So Yamada says, "I came to the wrong person. I meant to say this to Serena-chan." The girl named Serena gets a bit surprised. Moko teases her, saying, "Oh man, Yamada is so friendly. That's why she shakes hands with anyone." And she takes Yamada to a boy, grabs Yamada's hand and tries to make her touch the boy. Ikikawa glares at Moko. Moko asks, "Is there a problem?" Then Yashida arrives and says, "Looks like I am in this class too." Yamada says, "Oh, I already saw your name earlier." Because of this, Yashida gets a little embarrassed. Then they notice Kobayashi sitting in a corner looking very upset. Moko tells them she is upset because her name wasn't on the list. Kobayashi says, "Maybe I got sent back to the 2nd year." Her friends say, "Oh, if that's the case, then okay," and they start walking away. Kobayashi says, "What kind of friends are you?" Then they go to the staff room where they ask their teacher about Kobayashi's class. The teacher tells them Kobayashi's class and she is in Yamada's class. Kobayashi says, "You did that on purpose, didn't you?" Her friends grab her and start taking her back. Ikikawa was standing right there, but for some reason black energy was emitting from him. After they leave, his teacher comes out and asks, "What happened, Ikikawa? Why are you standing here like this?" Ikikawa says, "No, I was just thinking that she must be very worried." And saying this, he walks away. When everyone returns to class, Kobayashi gets very happy seeing her first-year friends and Moko meets a friend named Kanken. Yamada comes to Ikikawa and gives him a note that says, "Let's hang out together after class." Then their teacher comes in and introduces herself and her name is Moria. During recess, as Ikikawa is coming down the stairs, he sees Adachi lying there. Ikikawa asks him, "What are you doing here?" Adachi says, "I was just looking under girls' skirts and waiting for you," and he asks him, "Do you know what class 1 is like?" He starts saying loudly, "Man, all the beautiful girls went to your class, Yamada and Hanzawa, and a lot of cute girls." And Adachi talks a lot of nonsense like this. A little while later, a scene is shown where everyone is going home. When everyone leaves the classroom, only Ikikawa and Yamada are left. Yamada comes to Ikikawa and gives him something. Ikikawa opens it and sees a chain inside. Yamada tells him, "This is your birthday gift." Ikikawa starts putting it around his neck. Yamada explains that it's a wallet chain and starts putting it on him. But just then they hear someone coming, so they both hide. It's Moko and her friend Kanken. Kanken asks, "Are Yamada and Ikikawa dating each other?" Moko says, "Who knows?" From his hiding spot, Ikikawa whispers, "Tell them no." But Moko says, "It's not like Yamada is banned from dating someone." Kanken says, "We should celebrate this. In our previous class, we set up 2 kids together because they liked each other." Hearing this, Moko also gets worried. Meanwhile, Ikikawa and Yamada were very close to each other. Hanzawa says, "But they broke up after the break." Kanken says, "They must have done that because we didn't celebrate enough." Moko imagines what that moment would be like, so she agrees with her. And then they leave. Yamada asks Ikikawa, "Are we dating? That's what they were talking about, right?" Ikikawa starts to get up, but he accidentally steps on the wallet chain attached to his waist with his foot, which causes his pants to fall down. Just then, Moko returns and sees this, turning it into an awkward situation. After that, Ikikawa is walking home with his friends and they talk. Kanzaki explains that he has to visit Hara during every break because she is in a different class now and he can't live without her for a moment. Then he asks Ikikawa, "By the way, where is Yamada?" Adachi says, "How come you're talking about Yamada today?" Kanzaki gets flustered and says, "Well, she is very beautiful, that's why." But Ikikawa says, "Yamada and I are friends, that's why." After walking a little further, Ikikawa stops and tells them that he'll go by himself from here. They leave and Yamada comes to him because she had been secretly following him. The next day's scene is shown where they have a health checkup and they head back to their class. Ikikawa and Yamada get a little close. Seeing this, Kanken starts thinking that they are dating. Ikikawa tells Yamada, whenever this girl is around, you shouldn't get close to me. He thinks to himself that he has to avoid this girl at all costs. Kanken points at them and asks, what is going on between you two? Ikikawa reminds her, our teacher said we should get to know each other. Kanken says, oh yeah, I haven't really talked properly to Yamada yet, and she tells Yamada, you can call me Kan. Yamada says, then you can call me Anna, but I want to call you Kanya instead of Kan. Seeing her smile, Kanken gets very impressed and Yamada strokes her hair and says, your hair is really so silky. Hanzawa arrives, grabs Yamada's hand and says, I call her Kana. Yamada apologizes to her. Then Kobayashi comes and says, Yamada is just too friendly. And yeah, Hanzawa and I got along really well in elementary school. Yamada comes to Kanken and says, okay, then I will call you Panda, and they start chatting. Ikikawa says in his mind, once again I'm left alone like always. A scene in the library is shown where Ikikawa was taking down a book. Yamada arrives and asks, what are you doing? Ikikawa explains, I just noticed that I can reach the top shelf now. Yamada says, that's a good thing, you've grown taller. Ikikawa says, yeah, a whole inch taller. Yamada gets an idea and says, let's mark our heights for the record. She takes books out of the shelf and marks his height on the inside. When Ikikawa steps on a stool to mark her height, he sees that Yamada marked his height and wrote Kaio next to it. Ikikawa also marks her height, but then he hides it with books. When Yamada looks at it, her height is marked and her name Anna is written next to it. Seeing the name Anna, Yamada gets very happy, twirls around, hides inside the curtains and blushes. Ikikawa says, I always thought I wouldn't be able to change, but now I want to stay close to you. I mean physically. Yamada pulls the curtain back and says, I have no problem with that, and pulls him into the curtain with her. Ikikawa decides that he will tell her his true feelings now, but the wind blows and the curtain uncovers them. Hanzawa had arrived and saw them, but she ignores them. Ikikawa thinks to himself, maybe she doesn't like romance stuff. Yamada pulls the curtain back around them and asks, so what were you going to say? But right as Ikikawa is about to speak, Hanzawa walks by, pulls the curtain back and leaves. In the process, she stumbles and drops her book, then leaves. Yamada picks up the book and sees it is her personal notebook. Yamada says, I'll return this to her. A few days later, the seating plan for Ikikawa's class was changing. Ikikawa sits in the corner because that's the seat he got, and he was thinking that Hanzawa wouldn't interfere in his personal life. Hanzawa goes to Yamada and says, my eyesight isn't good, so can I sit in the front? You sit in my place. So Yamada goes and sits next to Ikikawa. Hanzawa gestures to Ikikawa, meaning she did this on purpose. Ikikawa says in his mind, there was no need for this. A little while later, Ikikawa says a line that makes Kanken tell him, that was a really cheesy line. But Yamada says, but it sounded like a line from a rom-com comic book. Ikikawa was doing this so that Kanken wouldn't think he was dating Yamada. In the next class, Yamada asks for Ikikawa's book, but Ikikawa refuses. He writes something on the book and quickly passes it to Yamada. It said sorry. Yamada understands why Ikikawa was doing this. After class, when everyone leaves, Ikikawa looks at Yamada's desk. His book was kept there. He goes to the book and sees a letter inside it. He opens and reads it. It was meant for Hanzawa. Yamada had clarified in it that she was not dating Ikikawa right now, but she gave hints clearly showing that she wants to date him. There was a line where she had written something very clearly. Seeing it, Ikikawa blushes and doesn't read any further. The next day, when Yamada comes to school, she says good morning to Ikikawa, and Ikikawa replies to her. After that, the library scene is shown. When Ikikawa goes there, he sees Hanzawa talking to Yamada. Hanzawa wanted to know how love actually happens, but before they could talk further, Ikikawa walks in and Hanzawa starts to leave. Yamada approaches her and asks for her line ID so she could explain everything to her. But hearing Yamada's words, Hanzawa gets very shy and quickly leaves. Ikikawa says, you should keep in mind your distance with everyone. After that, the scene of the next day is shown. In their class, their teacher is very enthusiastic and announces that their third year's last sports festival is coming up. Last year, my class's team lost badly and came in third, but this year I want to win, she says, giving them a very long speech. A little while later, a guy from his own class who looks quite intimidating comes up to Ikikawa and asks, will you be the knight for our group? Ikikawa is surprised. The guy explains, we are going to do a cavalry battle, so we want you to be our knight. But Yamada steps in between and says he won't do it. The guy tells Ikikawa, I thought you had guts, but not anymore. Yamada retorts, he does have guts. Ikikawa calms her down. Then when he goes to the washroom to pee, Adachi is also there and asks him about the game. Ikikawa says he refused the guy. Adachi says, man, how could you do that? Do you even know how much fun that game will be? Then he remembers something and asks Ikikawa, do you remember the incident that happened with Yamada? Ikikawa says, oh that. We are then shown a flashback of Yamada falling and Ikikawa stepping in front to save her. Remembering this, Adachi apologizes to Ikikawa saying, sorry, I said that you dropped her on purpose, but you were actually saving her. Ikikawa says, just drop it and forget about it now. But Adachi keeps talking about it, and when he looks toward Ikikawa, Ikikawa isn't even there. Ikikawa is shown walking away, thinking about that past incident. He notes that it was the first time he came into into contact with Yamada. We are shown a flashback where Ikikawa, looking at Yamada, was thinking to himself that it was a good opportunity to murder her. Remembering this, Ikikawa thinks to himself, "Man, somebody kill me. What on earth was I thinking back then?" Then Yamada arrives and Ikikawa asks her what happened. Yamada says, "I just remembered something about last year's sports festival," and she grabs his arm, rolling up his sleeve. She sees that the scar he got on his arm while saving her is still there. Yamada thanks him for saving her back then, but Adachi sees them like this, so he walks up to Ikikawa and says, "Hey Ikikawa, listen, you have to participate in the cavalry battle. Come on, let's face off against each other." But seeing him with Yamada, he says, "Man, you're not even giving a reaction. Fine, suit yourself if you don't want to come." Ikikawa replies, "Alright, I'll join it for you," which makes Adachi happy. From the very next day, Ikikawa starts practicing to get his physical body in shape. While jogging, he stops at a vending machine to buy and drink an energy drink. But when he looks back, Yamada is there playing with her dog. It turns out Yamada was following him. However, Yamada looks at him and asks, "Are you following me?" Ikikawa says, "Oh man, what are you talking about?" After that, they both sit together on a bench. Yamada asks him what he was practicing for. Ikikawa replies, "In case a zombie apocalypse ever happens, my body needs to be fit for it." They talk like this for a while, and then Yamada grabs his hand and says, "Alright, let's race together." And using this excuse, she brings him to her house. She shows him an ob roller that she always uses to exercise. She starts demonstrating how to use the roller right in front of him, but this situation becomes a bit too awkward for Ikikawa. Just then her dog slides under Yamada. She tells Ikikawa to quickly move the dog away. Ikikawa goes to move it, but the dog is quite heavy, and as the dog leaves, it accidentally clicks Yamada's assets. Because of this, Yamada falls down and asks Ikikawa, "Was that you or Kantaro?" Ikikawa asks, "Wait, what did I do?" A little while later, Ikikawa starts practicing with the ob roller. Yamada then brings her dad's dumbbell for him. Ikikawa says, "How am I supposed to lift this when even you can't lift it?" After that, Ikikawa and Yamada talk about Adachi for a bit. Then Yamada asks him, "By the way, Kyle, do you like your eggs sweet or salty?" Ikikawa says sweet, while lifting the dumbbell. But doing so causes him to lose his balance and he is about to fall. Yamada catches him and says, "Alright then, don't bring your lunch box during the sports festival. I will do my absolute best and make lunch for you." Next, the day of the sports festival is shown, where everyone is writing different words on each other. Ikikawa is shown walking somewhere. Just then, Yamada comes out, writes something on his forehead, and then ties a red headband around his head, saying, "Don't let anyone steal this." Then the scene shifts outside, where the weather has gotten a bit bad. Adachi comes on stage as an announcer and blabbers, "Let's make today's sports festival a memorable one," but he ends up talking a bit too much nonsense. The sports festival begins, starting with the scavenger hunt game. Kanken draws a chit and shows that it says she needs to bring a couple. That's why she came to Yamada and Ikikawa, but Yamada and Ikikawa were just looking at each other and blushing. However, Yamada's dad and mom end up winning that race with Kanken because Yamada's dad was carrying Yamada's mom in his arms and she was blushing furiously. The sports festival committee is then shown looking at Kanken's chit and saying, "You are disqualified for cheating." After that, her class teacher gets angry and scolds her a lot. After the rest of the games, it's time for the cavalry battle, but suddenly it starts raining. It is announced that the event is being stopped due to the rain, but Adachi talks to his teacher and convinces him, so their battle begins and both teams clash. During the clash, Ikikawa and Adachi argue with each other about Yamada. Ikikawa blurts out that he likes Yamada. Adachi says, "I knew it," and starts to accept defeat, but Ikikawa motivates him. Because of this, Adachi gets so incredibly motivated that he grabs Ikikawa and they both start falling down. As a result, the headband on Ikikawa's head comes undone, revealing the word Kaio written on his forehead, and just like that, they both lose. Ikikawa is then taken to the nurse's office, where Adachi's mom is taking care of him. Yamada arrives and feels a little jealous seeing this. After that, Adachi comes outside, where Moko places a towel on his head. Adachi notices that the towel is quite wet. Then Adachi's mom also comes out, and Kana arrives to check on Ikikawa. Seeing her, Adachi says, "She is cute," and asks her, "Are you Ikikawa's sister?" Kana just tells him to get lost. When Kana goes inside, she sees the two of them sitting on the bed behind the curtain talking to each other. So Kana quietly leaves. Yamada then takes out the lunch she brought for him. Ikikawa tastes it and really likes it. Hearing this, Yamada gets happy and moves closer to Ikikawa. Ikikawa thinks she wants to eat too, so he feeds her with his chopsticks. Yamada says, "I didn't want to eat, I just wanted to look at your face." Then she says, "Alright, I'll go get my lunch box." As she starts to leave, Ikikawa says, "Wait, otherwise everyone will get the wrong idea." Yamada says to him, "You know, Kaio, you looked really cool." Saying this, she leaves. Ikikawa continues eating his lunch and says to himself, "This really is tasty." The next day, as they are heading to school, Ikikawa notices that Yamada is wearing her summer uniform. Yamada tells him that the uniforms have changed starting today. She's eating something and offers some to Ikikawa, but he declines and starts taking off his vest. Yamada mentions that the fabric of their uniforms has also changed. Holding her skirt, she says, "Look, the fabric for this has changed too." Ikikawa ends up grabbing her skirt. Yamada blushes and asks Kaio, "Why are you taking off your clothes?" Ikikawa says, "No, it's not like that." After that, they arrive at school. Ikikawa mutters to himself that he absolutely hates the summer season. But just then his imaginary manga character appears and says, "But Yamada is with you too." Ikikawa tells the manga character to get lost and thinks to himself that Yamada has been a bit too busy lately. Meanwhile, Yamada's friend is talking to her about something, but Yamada tells her to keep quiet. Then their class teacher arrives, looking very excited, and announces that today they will form groups for the upcoming school trip. Teacher Moria writes down the dates for the trip and the number of group members. Seeing this, Yamada gets a little worried. Ikikawa asks her what's wrong, but she doesn't tell him anything and walks over to her friends. Then Kanzaki comes over and says, "Let's form a group too and we'll ask Yamada as well." So Ikikawa goes to Yamada and asks, "Is there any space in your group? If there is, I want to join too." Yamada gets happy and tells her friends. Kobayashi says, "We are forming a group to share a room during the trip." Ikikawa is shocked and says, "But Kanzaki said I could join Yamada." Kanzaki walks over, points to a boy and says, "I was talking about this Yamada." Ikikawa thinks to himself, "Man, why does this always happen to me?" A little while later, while sitting down, he notices Yamada acting a bit strange, and he keeps thinking about it even when he gets home. Just then the manga character appears and says, "First kiss." He goes on to explain that even in the manga, the female lead and male lead had their first kiss during the school trip. Ikikawa calms himself down and wonders why he's even thinking about this. He then starts imagining how he would kiss Yamada during the school trip. This only makes him more flustered, questioning why he's having these thoughts. He then gets a video call from Yamada and spots that very same manga volume lying behind her. Yamada says, "I bought another copy so you can keep the one I gave you." Yamada then says, "By the way, I wanted to talk to you about the school trip." She starts talking but then notices a book next to Ikikawa, which is the school trip guidebook. She realizes Ikikawa is definitely going. She quickly says, "I am definitely coming on the school trip," and feeling a bit overwhelmed, she turns off her camera. They continue chatting about random things, but we see that tears are streaming down her face. Meanwhile, Ikikawa also feels a bit unsettled and anxious. He asks her, "Did something happen?" Yamada replies, "No, nothing happened, I'm fine." The day of the school trip arrives and they are traveling to their destination by train. Ikikawa and Yamada are sitting in different seats. Hanzawa is sitting next to Ikikawa trying to look out the window, so Ikikawa asks her, "Would you like to sit here?" Hanzawa says yes and switches seats. Hanzawa then gives Ikikawa a warning, telling him that he needs to be careful for the next 3 days because Kanken is planning to pair some people up during the trip and celebrate, and he and Yamada are at the very top of her list. Ikikawa blushes and says, "But there's nothing like that between Yamada and me." Hanzawa says, "Alright then, but would you want people pushing you to propose to her?" Ikikawa says, "No, I can do it myself." But Yamada sees them talking and says, "I want to recline my seat." A little bickering ensues between Ikikawa and Yamada. Meanwhile, Kobayashi looks a bit troubled. After that, they arrive at the trip destination. Yamada is feeding crackers to the deer. However, the deer start swarming her and Yamada panics. The crackers slip from her hands and land right in Ikikawa's bag. Consequently, all the deer flock to Ikikawa. Ikikawa starts panicking, so Yamada goes over to save him and tries to pull the crackers out. Seeing this, Kanken grabs all her stuff and starts marching toward them to play matchmaker. But Hanzawa covers Kanken's eyes and Ikikawa runs away, leaving Yamada behind. He then stops at a spot where Kobayashi is sitting. She says to Ikikawa, "Isn't Yamada acting weird today?" Ikikawa agrees, "Yeah, I also feel like her happiness and excitement are just an act." Kobayashi says, "There's nothing we can do about it because it's her decision." Ikikawa asks, "What decision?" Kobayashi thinks to herself, maybe he doesn't know anything. Just then, Yashida and Moko arrive and scold Kobayashi, saying, "What kind of group leader leaves their group all alone?" Kobayashi then leaves with them. Meanwhile, Ikikawa is left wondering what decision Yamada has made. After doing more activities like this, they arrive at their hotel. They have dinner and Ikikawa keeps thinking about Yamada. But while lost in thought, he notices that everyone has already finished eating and left. So he finishes his meal and goes to take a bath. Adachi arrives there and says, "Oh, you're still here." Kanzaki asks Adachi, "Wait, didn't you already take a bath and leave with class too?" Adachi replies, "Yeah, I accidentally walked into the girls' bath. The teacher scolded me a lot for that." As he takes off his clothes, he says, "And you know what? In the girls' bath, they were comparing their sizes. That's why I think we should also measure our lengths. You know, down there," and strips completely. Looking at him, Kanzaki says, "Wow, Adachi, you are really growing well," and he takes off his clothes too. Looking at Kanzaki, Adachi says, "Oh man, what can I say, you're growing really well too, man." Then Adachi says, "Come on Ikikawa, show us yours too." Ikikawa yells, "Why would I show you?" Meanwhile, in the girls' bath, Yamada is bathing and looks at her friends who have all turned their backs to her while washing. Yamada asks them, "What happened?" They reply, "We have no desire to look at your collection." After they finish bathing, they start to leave. Yamada tells Kobayashi, "You go ahead, I'll be right there." She is checking something on her phone. Just then, Ikikawa walks in. Yamada is startled and her phone slips from her hand. Ikikawa catches it and says, "Here's your phone." But he catches a glimpse of her screen, which shows an audition offer for the advertisement of that very same rom-com manga. Just then Adachi walks by, and from another direction, Kanken spots Ikikawa and Yamada together, thinking this is the perfect time to execute her plan. However, Yamada quickly walks away, making making Kankin sigh, "Oh man, they slipped right out of my hands." We are then shown Yamada, deep in thought as she looks at that audition offer. Then we see Ikikawa, who is also thinking about the ad and unable to sleep. The manga character appears and says, "So this means the kissing scene on the last day of the trip is about to happen," and saying this, he jumps off the building. Ikikawa goes to the window to look. Kanzaki walks up beside him and casually mentions, "Hara's room is right below ours." Saying this, he goes back to sleep. Meanwhile, the manga character is hanging by a rope, saying this is how he will go down. Just then, Ikikawa spots Yamada outside, reciting lines from the manga and practicing. But then she looks sad and mutters to herself, "I am enjoying the trip." Ikikawa connects all the dots and realizes that Yamada was invited to audition for that manga's advertisement, but he couldn't understand why she would skip the audition. As he thinks about it more deeply, it hits him. Yamada gave up the audition for him just so she could come on the school trip with him. Realizing this makes Ikikawa extremely sad and tears well up in his eyes. He thinks about how hard she must have worked for this, and he immediately runs out to find her. He runs into Yamada in the hallway. She asks, "What are you doing out here?" Just then, their teacher approaches and demands, "What are you two doing here?" Yamada quickly covers Ikikawa with a blanket and tells the teacher that she accidentally forgot which room was hers. The teacher grabs them and shoves them back into her room. However, all of Yamada's friends are in there. Yamada quickly hides Ikikawa inside her own futon. Ikikawa starts panicking immensely. Her friends start chatting with each other. One girl asks, "By the way, Yamada, do you have a crush on anyone?" Yamada says nothing and slips into her futon. The girl rephrases her question, "Okay, then just tell us what type of boys you like." Yamada lists a few traits, then to change the topic, she asks them, "Enough about me. You guys tell me, has anyone ever asked you out on a date?" They fall deep into thought. Moko says, "Being asked out on a date feels childish. I like guys who skip straight to the advanced stage. You know, smashing without even confessing their love." Hearing this, Yamada feels a bit embarrassed and says, "Well, I would like it if someone asked me." Kobayashi then says, "Alright, I'm turning off the lights now," and turns them off. Yamada goes entirely under the blanket where Ikikawa is practically hyperventilating. She leans close to his ear and whispers, "What should we do now?" Her proximity makes Ikikawa blush even harder. Yamada asks him softly, "Listen, is it possible that we are also at that stage now?" Saying this, she leans in to kiss him. But right then, Ikikawa whispers, "I need to talk to you about something." Hearing this, Yamada feels incredibly embarrassed because she almost lost control. She abruptly sits up. Kobayashi asks, "What happened?" Yamada replies, "Nothing," and pulls the blanket back over herself to sleep. Other girls notice that Yamada's blanket looks unusually bulky, but before they can think too much about it, they see Kanzaki dangling upside down outside their window on a rope. Seeing this terrifies them, they scream for the teacher and run out of the room. Taking advantage of this chaos, Yamada sneaks Ikikawa out. Outside, she asks him, "You said you needed to talk to me about something." Ikikawa replies, "I will talk to you tomorrow." Yamada softly says, "Okay." Both of them are deeply blushing. The scene of the next day is shown, where they are all out sightseeing and Yamada is wearing a fox mask. Yamada and Ikikawa end up taking a different path while the rest of the group goes another way. Ikikawa asks Yamada, "Are you enjoying this trip?" Yamada says, "Yes." Ikikawa gently takes off her mask and asks, "Then why does your face look so sad?" Yamada deflects, "No specific reason." Ikikawa asks her directly, "Your audition is booked, isn't it?" Yamada admits, "Yes," and begins to cry. "Forgive me, I thought if I came on the school trip with you it would make you happy and I wanted to enjoy this trip too, but I don't know why that audition is the only thing on my mind. Forgive me, I am truly being incredibly selfish." Hearing her words, Ikikawa thinks to himself, "I am so relieved to hear this. She really is very serious about her work and she couldn't just give it up." He then puts the mask on his own face and says, "Listen to me, Ana Yamada, I am not as weak as I look. Yes, I used to be a lonely coward, completely empty inside. I had no friends, but now I have many friends. Now I can talk to people, I don't hate them. Before, I didn't notice anything at school because I thought this world was just a filthy place. But slowly, I started noticing everything. Colors have begun filling my colorless world. And all of this happened because you were there with me. You helped me see the world because you were in it. And now, I love you, Yamada." Hearing this makes Yamada incredibly happy and tears of joy stream from her eyes. However, Kankin overhears his confession. She tells Hanzawa, "Alright, it's celebration time," and marches toward them with everyone. Seeing this, Ikikawa grabs Yamada's hand and they run away. After running a safe distance, he tells Yamada, "Take the next bullet train back so you can make it to your audition. You still have one whole day." Yamada starts to protest, but Ikikawa calms her down, saying, "I want you to go to that audition." He takes out some snacks, hands them to her, and starts walking away. Yamada calls out to him, "What you just said to me, I want to say it to you too." But just as she is about to say it, Kobayashi arrives. She hands Yamada her manga and says, "You'll need to practice, right?" and packs her things into her bag. Yamada thanks her and gets ready to leave. Ikikawa tells her everything will be fine. Yamada smiles, says yes, and heads off. Ikikawa thinks to himself, "Man, I shouldn't have acted like that in front of Kobayashi." Kobayashi gets a message and leaves. When Ikikawa walks back to the group, he sees everyone surrounding Hara and Kanzaki, chanting for them to propose to each other. Hara angrily yells yells, "Will you all stop this?" Kanken sheepishly apologizes, "Sorry." Ikikawa then spends the rest of the trip sightseeing and having fun with his friends. Meanwhile, Yamada reaches her parents, from where she will head to her audition. Next, we see Ikikawa returning from the trip. As he's walking home, he realizes something and sprints toward the school. He bursts into the library where Yamada is sitting and eating snacks. Ikikawa says to Yamada, "You are very brave, eating snacks in the school library without even wearing your uniform." They talk a bit more and Ikikawa asks, "How did your audition go?" Yamada looks a bit disappointed and replies, "I gave it my best, but I don't know how things will turn out. But honestly, you are the one who made me realize who I really am." She steps forward and says, "Kaio, to tell you the truth, you mean everything to me, and I want to tell you, I love you." Hearing this, tears well up in Ikikawa's eyes. Yamada steps closer, holds his hand and asks, "Will you date me?" Ikikawa replies, "Yes." Both of them lean in for a kiss. However, their kiss fails because their noses bump into each other. Yamada starts laughing at this. Flustered, Ikikawa turns his head away. Taking advantage of the moment, Yamada plants a kiss on his cheek and walks out. Ikikawa stands there stunned, muttering, "My mind is seriously short-circuiting right now." He then follows Yamada outside where she is watching the sunset. He walks up beside her and takes her hand. Both of them think to themselves, "I love you." And this is where Season 2 of the anime ends. Season 3 is coming in 2027, so you can wait until then. If you don't want to wait, just get this video to 2,000 likes and 200 comments, and I will bring Season 3 in manga form to my manga channel. You can find the link to the manga channel in the pinned comment. Thank you so much for watching the video till the end.